Yep, there we go. When you're down, now that's life. I don't know how the song goes. Um, I'll I'll just do this instead. If that doesn't come through, we're in a Discord call, and I used to buy soundboard to play Nathan for You intro. Welcome back anyway to Oscar's Mafia. Um, it's been a very long time actually since July. So much shit has actually changed since since that last episode. We have a better picture of what the race looks like now, and now we get to kind of evaluate based on that. Now, in here to join me in doing just that, the one, the only, the most Canadian, Tristan French.
Hello. How are you doing? It's been a long, long, long time.
Yeah, so and it's just us two today, but we'll persevere, or we'll get through it. I think a lot of the pundits who do this sort of thing, the YouTubes, the Spotify's, the podcasts, things like that. They kind of they go through their predictions, and they say in a very dry way, like, this is what the race is now, blah 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 blah. Today I am feeling a little bit different, and I am going to I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. So I got an idea. So I was thinking about this a couple days ago, and I was like, okay, I've got an idea. I took this idea from this political channel I watched, The Vanguard, and a podcast they do called Circle Jerk America. And a few months ago, they did a thing where they tier ranked potential Donald Trump VP picks. This was, of course, before you know JD Vance came in, and I decided, you know what? Let's take that template and let's do it here. So, lo and behold, the 2025 Best Picture contenders tier list.
I'm seeing it. Uh oh, interesting. Okay. Wait, I don't know what half these things are. Why is Jay-Z here?
So, okay, uh, much like that video, the some of the films here are represented by meme pics, by like meme photos. So that's why. So Jay Z is supposed to be Gladiator too. I'll when we get to it, I'll tell you like what this means, what that means, blah blah blah. But uh, this is it. This is the best picture contender tier list for 2025. I got as many movies as I think I could put on here. I could reasonably put on here. Um, so I mean, Tristan, if you're ready, I mean, we could just start with
Yeah, let's
whatever.
do it. Let's do it. Are we starting from the first one there?
So this is not in any particular order. It's just in the order of which I put them into the list.
Okay.
So I mean, we may as well just start with the main films, as it were, like the main six films that are like considered like by some people. I guess by some people, I guess all of them are to one extent or another considered the winners, but like the top six, like the ones we think, yeah, these are like happening. Um, Now allow me once again to just pat myself on the back because uh, uh, uh I have been talking about Honora winning Best Picture since May. And look, I've been called crazy by some people for saying that back then. Some people still seem to have a difficult time believing it now, but look, if at this point like it actually can like win, and and there definitely is a case for it. Like I don't see why I should change that. So I'm still riding with this. I'm riding with this until you know it's just evident that it won't happen.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. Having seen the movie, Nora just feels like an instant winner. It feels like the moment that people are really celebrating Sean Baker's entire career, and I think it's culminated to his biggest statement yet, and a film that I think will both satisfy longtime fans of Sean Baker's work, also get new people on board. It's broadly accessible, but it's also a critic's pick, and it also has a lot to say. I feel like a lot of, like, especially recently, because the world's so crazy right now, I feel like oftentimes what a movie is saying, um, if it aligns with what's going on in the world, it usually gives it a boost. And so I'm trying to look at like how you could spin these films and what their narratives are. And this is a film that tackles class differences and um, the economic situation in the world right now. And even if it loosely tackles that, like I think it's something a lot of people are going to very much like resonate with. And I think it's, going into, we're kind of still in like, I don't know if it's the same in the US, but it feels like a recession almost. So I feel like the messages that it's exploring are going to resonate with people, and I think it's just going to work on so many different levels as a form of entertainment, but also as like a really meaningful piece. And I think um, people are gonna love it. And Mikey Madison, they're doing a great job. I don't know if you saw the latest trailer, but literally they're marketing it as like Nora, the title card comes up, and then it says Mikey Madison is. So they're putting her name everywhere, and they're really campaigning her to win this.
And I mean, we'll get to it when we get to it. I think she's going to. That's another prediction I have ridden since ridden's not a word. I rode since May, and again, people call me crazy, but hey, look, they hated Jesus because he told them the truth. I mean, look, I think the package is very clear. Like, I mean, it's gonna win original screenplay. I can't imagine what else would beat it. Like, the Brutalist isn't gonna beat it, and then like what the fuck else, right? Like, the only thing I could have maybe seen is if Saturday Night were like more acclaimed than at one TIFF, but that obviously didn't happen, and it obviously is not really that acclaimed. So uh, I think that's probably an easy one going in the door. And then all it needs to win beyond that is Baker in director and or Mikey in actress. And then that's a golden ticket. But I think what more than like the relevance of it is that I think helps it. It's just a broadly appealing movie. And there's a few of these in here as well. I think Sing Sing is broadly appealing as well, uh, and that's definitely a boost to it. But I think one thing that with Honora is it kind of perfectly melds uh, lowbrow appeal, middlebrow appeal, and highbrow.
Yeah.
It very much marries those together better than any of other Sean Baker's other films. I mean, look, you go from winning the Palme d'Or, you're topping the Telluride critics poll and composite poll. It did not top the People's poll, but of all the Best Picture contenders on that list, it was number one of those, and it was still pretty high.
Top the people
Uh,
poll.
some abortion documentary produced by Hillary Clinton.
Oh,
Uh,
I thought it would be piece by piece. Why isn't that on here? What the heck, George?
uh, look, the Saudis told me I can't do that. Anyway, So it's got those going for it. It's got a TIFF third place placement, and this movie, and that what's significant about it is that Elevation Pictures, which handles Neon's titles at TIFF, they don't give their films many screenings. Uh, Anatomy only had three last year. Triangle, I think, only had three the year before. This one started with three. It got an extra screening added, which was probably what helped it because it was in such high demand, but also but the fact that it still managed to overcome that's massive. And you just hear all these reports. Every single festival it goes to, it blows the fucking roof off. People eat, they eat it up. And listen, if you are able to appeal to both David Ehrlich and Sean Chandler, then I don't know what else to tell you. Like you have a pretty damn good chance. And that it's that type of film that does that so well. And a lot of those movies have won. I think that's what Oppenheimer did last year. I think that's what Everything Everywhere did a couple years ago.
Yeah,
Parasite did this really well. Uh, it's such a like it's such a broadly appealing film. It doesn't matter that it's indie. It doesn't matter that it doesn't have big stars. It doesn't matter that because some people's reservations it's got a lot of sex, a lot of nudity, or it's meandering, kind of like some of Sean Baker's films are. Maybe if this film was not as broadly appealing as it is, it would be closer to something like the Florida Project. But because people are just so taken by it, it's able to overcome all that. And I think that's something that is also true of other people's films. I think that's true of the Daniels to one extent or another. That's true of a lot of people who normally would not get their films in Best Picture, but just have they're so good, or they're so broadly appealing that it doesn't matter what other stipulations they may have. It just is going to overcome that. I think the main thing Neon needs to do is keep the momentum going all the way until March, and as long as they do that, I think they've got a golden ticket here because it's so broadly appealing. I'm not going to go so far as to call it a lock, but look, it's got the recipe. It's got the recipe.
I agree. Yeah, I think at this point in the year, the stars are starting to align and we can kind of predict what's going to happen and what films are really in play to win in certain categories. And I think it's pretty clear that Nora is the one to beat right now. And there are a few films I see, two in particular I see on this list that I genuinely do think could win Best Picture. If all the right things happen for them, and they really pick up momentum, and we'll get to them. But I think right now Nora hasn't even come out yet, and the amount of buzz that it has at the moment is absolutely insane. It has it hasn't even reached its like cultural moment yet, but I can feel it coming, and I think it comes out in 2 weeks, right?
1 week.
1 week, yeah. So I mean, the masses are going to see it in 1 week. I predict this is going to blow up on TikTok and actually become like a sensation. Like I think I can even. This is really weird, George, but I can even predict. You know how like Euphoria kind of created like fashion trends and like makeup trends and stuff and makeup videos. I think the same thing's gonna happen with Honora. I think people are gonna want to do like the Honora makeup on TikTok. It's gonna
Well,
happen.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna happen, and I also don't know if TikTok, something blowing up on TikTok means much for a movie's chances. But outside of that, there's obviously enough evidence to
It,
support
it,
that. Yes, this absolutely can happen.
I mean, it definitely doesn't. I mean, Saltburn totally blew up on
I
TikTok,
was
and
gonna
that blew in my
say, yeah.
face. Yeah, that did not help at all. But I think. if a movie is already has everything on its side, like Past Lives. I guess it didn't really help Past Lives either. But I think I mean Oppenheimer kind of blew up on TikTok, so I think
That
it just
movie was
helps
already
its
popular.
that is true. I think it kind of just helps its momentum like financially and financially um that's a like a, a film's success financially does end up helping it in the Oscar race. I think even like the past few winners, not Coda and not Nomadland, but like Parasite, um, and then Everything Everywhere and Oppenheimer, they were all big box office successes, and like I think Anora is going to be as well. And that's the thing. The films that it's really competing against, um, they are not going to be box office contenders. They're not gonna do well at the box office at all.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. For me, like, there's not like an obvious box office movie except Dune, and like the most, like, I don't think like that really has much of a chance at winning. But like,
Yeah.
compared to like The Brutalist or Emilia Perez, which I mean Netflix isn't going to report the numbers anyway, or Sing Sing, which is not, which I mean that would have to like do a big resurgence. Like I mean, other than that, like what else is there? Like Gladiator 2? Like no, like it's not like compared to like the other actual possible contenders. I see what you're saying, and like I can vibe with it.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, look, Honora Agenda is pushing forward. I have it winning four, which
Oh wow.
may
What do you
seem
have at winning?
uh basically the main ones that like it can win. So picture, director, actress, original.
Director. Interesting. I do not
Well,
have it winning director.
I understand. Okay, well, I guess we could just move on to that film, The Brutalist, which I mean, I think we obviously both agree that like
Oh,
yeah,
wait,
belongs in.
we're I feel like we should go in order because then we're just gonna have everything and can we win Best Picture?
Well,
We gotta like
we're. I mean, what the hell are we gonna do? We're already transitioning into The Brutalist, so I figured
that's fair.
we would go
That's
there.
brutal for Bob Dylan.
Well, we'll come
Sorry,
back.
that
To Bobby Boy later on. Um. Okay. Here's what I'm. So the Brutalist. I mean, I don't think Jazz and I talked about this in the last show that we did back in July.
yeah.
Uh, that was before the Venice lineup dropped. I did have a feeling, at least for a little bit, that like, oh, maybe, like it stood out to me a little bit because, like, a 4 hour movie like that, like that's kind of it, to premiere at Venice in competition, that's kind of insane. Uh, Brady Corbet, who is I'm going to say this all year. He's my doppelganger. I look like a version of him that's like maybe 10 years younger. He was an actor first. He was a child actor. People may know him from Mysterious Skin. He plays the character, the main male character who is not Joseph Gordon-Levitt in that film. And this is his like this is kind of his big moment. I would like
Mhm.
even though I felt like it, I was kind of skeptical because I'd seen Vox Lux and I'm not a fan of that movie really. I want to give it a rewatch before The Brutalist, but I didn't like it when I first saw it. I was thinking like, yeah, but like, is this actually like an Oscar movie, quote unquote? Like, is this really a movie that people are going to rally behind, right? And there was some buzz going through the grapevine. Oh, this is a masterpiece. This is a masterpiece. This is a masterpiece. And I take buzz like that with a grain of salt usually because it's like it could just be like Brady Corbet's friends watching the film, just fucking glazing it for him. But clearly it isn't that. The movie has like an 88 on Metacritic, pretty high letterbox score, not as high as Nora. I'll put it that way.
I
Um,
think it might go higher.
well, uh, I have a Nora's page open already.
Anora's a 4.2. What's
4.22,
a lot
and
more
then
people have seen Anora though, I will say.
I mean, yeah, but like at the same time, like
The
it
Brutalist,
is
like
like
the,
4.11, so it's not like uh yeah,
I could
it's a point higher.
I could see the Brutalist going up to a 4.4. But I could also see Anora getting that high too.
Well, we'll Doom Part Two is already 4.4, so I'm not entirely sure about that. But let's put that aside for a second. I mean, obviously 88 on Metacritic, 4.1 on Letterboxd. It did not win the Golden Lion at Venice. It won Best Director at Venice. It did not have many screenings at TIFF. It has a few screenings at New York. It's going to a few. It's going to like a couple regional fests. I don't know how many exactly. I think here's what I'm looking at with this film is it seemed I know people have said, oh, it's more accessible to these movies, but it kind of does give me a little bit of Power of the Dog, Roma, or something like Tar, where it's a highbrow pick, it's a critic's pick, it's a film that, the intellectual voters of the Academy, if you will ride or die for. Basically, they'll glaze this movie like it's a fucking baked donut, right?
I, yeah.
But for some people, it's going to be a little cold, and I've seen some of that already. And to be fair, this isn't necessarily a great metric. There's people who are underwhelmed by every movie. I mean, even like Parasite, like I know some people who are like, oh, was that really that great? But there's a certain difference between just saying, yeah, I mean, everyone else seems to love this movie, but I don't, versus like someone saying, I feel like this is a little cold. I think the fact that it is that, I think, is going to hurt it when it comes to a preferential ballot. Uh, when all is said and done. Now, I'm not going to completely dismiss the fact that it could win because apparently the movie was made for $6 million, which is fucking crazy to me. A
Yeah.
3.5 hour long epic that's compared to shit like The Godfather and Lawrence of Arabia. Like how the like who the hell has the resources to make that on like $6 million? That's fucking crazy to me. Though to be fair, some of that might be not American money, and so you convert it to our currency. That's what you get. But I mean that is something that is still admirable and something people will find admirable. And obviously, it's big enough to get multiple nominations. I mean, let's just run through it. Picture, director, obviously. Also, three actors, screenplay, cinematography, production design, score, uh, potentially even editing. And then there's others like that are maybes, like sound or makeup or costumes. Uh, it has a potential ceiling of like 13 nominations, which is higher than Nora, which is realistically like 7, 8 on its best day. The the thing about The Brutalist that is very concerning to me as well, A24 is putting its limited release on December 20th. If you're going to
Yeah.
release a movie that late, that's not a great sign for your winning chances. It helps in nominations. 1917. I mean, to be fair, that year was a little bit weaker because of the
But
voting period, but
I know what you're
1917 was able to get more nominations than was expected. But it just
yeah.
didn't go on to win. Is the thing.
But 1917 and a lot of those movies that you think are going to end up being big contenders and don't. Sure, they come out in December, but they don't play the festivals. That's the thing. The difference is that The Brutalist has gotten out there. It's played New York, it played TIFF, it played Venice. It probably will play a few more festivals. People have seen this movie,
Sure.
so it already has the buzz. So it's more akin to like something like The Shape of Water, which came out in December. and also played the festival circuit and was seen a lot before it ended up actually coming out.
I mean, this is pretty late in December too. That is what I think is.
But
It's a little bit head
I
scratcher.
think it is a really smart move in some ways, though, because the thing is, this is a movie they want to show on film. They want to show it on 70 millimeter, and they want people to see it in theaters. They don't want these screeners being passed around. They're going to hold so many screenings right around the time that a lot of these big precursors are announcing their um, awards. So, you're going to get right around the time that, like before Golden Globe, they close their awards and SAGs and stuff. You're gonna see this movie just slowly start to have screenings for members, and then it's gonna go into theaters, and I think it's gonna catch a wave, to be honest. And Anora, you don't want to release it too close to Anora because right now that film is the big one. And what I think they might be trying to do is Anora is releasing now. By December, maybe we're looking for a new film to kind of challenge it, and The Brutalist comes up and ends up swooping in.
Well, the Brutalist is already kind of assumed to be
I
the
mean, for sure.
challenger, as it were. Uh,
Yeah.
I think. I mean, one thing that with A24, they are confounding sometimes because sometimes they have a really great strategy and sometimes they have a really shitty strategy. And the thing is, they also have Sing Sing, and apparently they're going to try to bring it back in a big way at the end of the year. That's what they say. So far, that movie has not had a great time in the box office. The rollout was honestly, I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that. Did not play a lot of theaters. Not as I mean, there's people who've seen it. Plenty of people who've seen it. I've seen it. It's just like there's not as many people who have seen it, and like I understand the argument like, oh, you have to get people to see it like at the time, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it's like number one that like I don't know if it can come back in that big of a way at the end of the year, and number two, I don't know how they're going to balance that with the Brutalist. The thing about having Past Lives and Zone of Interest last year, neither of those films were in contention to win. Past Lives was pretty solidly. I mean, well, I would say they were both kind of like in like after PGA happened, but like those were two films that like Past Lives was more in. Zone of Interest was a little bit more borderline, but they were able to very strategically play those films to the audiences they knew would like them the most, which is why Past Lives they put it like in more theaters early on in Zone of Interest. Like it almost seems like they're doing the Zone of Interest strategy with the Brutalist, but to a lesser degree, where they're trying to get to the people who they know will like the movie the most, essentially.
I, I do not think it's to a lesser degree. I think this is going to have way more of a theater presence because of the 70
When I say to a
millimeter.
lesser degree, they're not doing the zone uh uh strategy to the extreme, right? They're not
Yeah.
releasing it in like two theaters and then 3 weeks later they start expanding it. Like no, I don't
Oh,
think that's what I mean. Like they're gonna expand it a little bit more, is what I'm trying to say.
I get what you're saying. I think having seen The Brutalist, I mean, we were comparing it earlier to Roma and Power of the Dog and films like that, and I think that's fair, especially Tar, um, because it does feel like an intellectual masterpiece, but like in that kind of way where it is, you know, it's not cold. Well, here's the thing with The Brutalist that I think separates it from those movies. Um, at its core, this is a story about the American dream, and it's a story about how America and the the rich prevent certain people from achieving the American dream, or try to. Um, and I think a lot of what it has to say, especially about immigration right now, um, I think is going to resonate. And because of that, even though it's a pretty heavy heavy movie. But because of that, I think there is a huge emotional undercurrent to this film that will take it further than the movies that we mentioned. And look, Roma was I don't think Roma is a cold movie. I know a lot of people feel it was, but it did have some emotion. But I feel like this is a movie where the themes are a little more universal. So for as much of like a heady movie as it is, I think it's a little more approachable just because of what it's actually about. And the performances, like the movie, I can't imagine anyone watching it and not being like, holy crap, this is like so well put together. Because the performances are just so engrossing. I mean, Adrian Brody is just acting like in a way that, I mean, he was amazing in The Pianist, but I think this cements him as one of the best actors like of his time. And Felicity Jones, Guy Pearce, they're all firing on all cylinders. So I think it's just such a captivating movie. And while I do have Nora winning, just because it, of the reasons you stated, I think it is a more approachable movie. The Brutalist is incredible, and I think it could challenge it at a lot of these critics' bodies.
Well, here's what I'm gonna get into that in a second because I have a bit of a point on that. I think what you're describing though, people are gonna say, "Oh, it's so well put together." I mean, I think that kind of does describe Roma, the Power of the Dog, to another degree,
It's
to
so
a certain
much better than
extent.
Power of the Dog. It is like I know people love that movie, but like this is on a completely different level. Like it
This
is
is
it
purely
is
anecdotal.
yeah. But what I mean is like Power of the Dog wasn't striving for something as huge as this is. Or I don't even think Roma was. Like this movie feels massive and it feels like an old school epic. And that's the thing. Power of the Dog and Roma did not get the old heads on board, and The Brutalist is going to get the old heads on board. Like a lot of these people who have been in the
Sure.
academy for ages and loved Francis Ford Coppola and loved I'm trying to think of other I'm blanking. Like Chinatown and stuff like that. Like I think we are going to really take to this movie because the filmmaking feels like something we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but look, I've still got the reservations. Here's the thing about the film that I think is going to be interesting is like I would need to see a PGA to be convinced, to be perfectly honest. And look, you're talking to the guy who up until like December of last year was very much like, oh, Oppenheimer, that's gonna fade away. It's gonna fizzle out, something else is gonna come up. But no, no, it did not. It just dominated from July all the way to March, even though I said that it would not, like verbatim. And I took the L there. Uh this doesn't feel like that. And I think, here's what I think. I think Brody's gonna win. I think uh in a similar way, honestly, to Mikey Madison, an actress, it just feels like everyone who sees the movie is like, oh, that's the best performance and best actor this year, or just one of the best performances of the year. And I think that buzz is really going to help him in particular. I think Guy Pearce could win. I don't have him at number one, but he could.
I don't
Uh,
either.
cin- Cinematography, I think, is likely.
Um,
Score is likely. I would say
yeah,
production design is likely,
yeah, definitely.
and I will say there is a chance Corbet wins director, but I'm gonna. This is where I'm gonna
Uh,
get into the critics thing because look, I think that zone strategy of releasing it in December, like late December, I'm a little bit concerned that that means like the regional critics won't be able to see it in time. People like Nashville critics, for example, or like fucking Detroit critics, St. Louis critics, Iowa, whatever may have you. Obviously, people in New York and Los Angeles and fucking Chicago, they're going to be able to see this in time for their awards. I don't know how many people in some of the other, even some and like Nashville, like some of the places I mentioned, Nashville, Detroit, St. Louis. Those are just a few examples. They're not small cities. They're big cities, and they get a lot of these movies. But I don't know, like if A24's strategy with this is going to work for them. But bigger than that, I feel like at least in the past few years, the critics will just go with the frontrunner, which is Anora, and that applies not just to Best Picture but to director. I remember last year, as part of my Oppenheimer denial, I was like, look, I think Yorgos could lead with critics. Poor Things could dominate critic circles and picture, director, whatever. And they just went with Nolan. I remember the year before, a lot of us were talking about Tar uh, doing really well with the picture wins at Critic and it did, and Todd Field possibly leading the field, but no pun intended. But it was just the Daniels uh, that did that. 2020 even, I remember there were people talking about, oh, Ja and Fincher are going to be split with critics, but no, Ja just dominated the critics group for director that year. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with Baker, but I feel like if critics are just going to front run like that, glazing, if you will, then that's kind of the sense I get that like regional critics in particular, again, because I think the movie just seems more broadly appealing, is gonna go from is gonna go largely for Nora
I,
in the picture director categories. And
I
also I do wanna like point out, and I guess you could use this argument for the Brutalist, but like when was the film that was truly, really and truly the indie darling of the year? Like the movie just felt like you get that feeling like this is the indie movie of the year. When has that been the front runner for picture and not just completely dominated critics with both picture and director?
um
Moonlight, because
Little Miss Sunshine.
oh, we're going back 20 years.
That's the last one I think of.
Like this is kind of what I'm saying. Like yeah, The Brutalist is an indie movie, but like think about the framing of it. Like what feels the most like the indie darling of the year? That's Nora. I think that's what the kicker's going to be. Is front runner, critics can fall behind the front runner, and that's Nora. And I think would that could just push it over the top there.
Possibly. Um, I think. Okay, here's the thing. Anora is a movie that people are gonna love so much, and it's so well crafted that I do think there are going to be lots of critics' bodies that do go with Baker for director. But I think to your point where you were talking about how Oppenheimer just ended up sweeping and everything everywhere, those movies, at least to me, having seen Anora and having seen The Brutalist, those movies do feel like um, more director oriented films than Anora. Not that Anora isn't, but The Brutalist is not like Tar and it's not like Poor Things. It's like the directing in that movie is just like so insanely impressive that I feel like people can't ignore it. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm biased and I love both. I think right now I have an Anora smidge above Brutalist. I think these are easily the two best movies of the year with the substance right behind them. But I think from a directing standpoint, the what the Brutalist accomplishes is more impressive. Um, and I think you could honor Anora in screenplay and in picture, and you're still giving Baker his flowers because he produced the movie and he wrote it. Brutalist it's such an incredible achievement. I just don't see people not wanting to award Corbet because like it feels like the second coming of Francis Ford Coppola, especially in a time when he releases something like Megalopolis. People are going to want to celebrate a movie like this because it does feel like someone is taking over that mantle.
Well, Megalopolis is a whole other beast. Um,
Is that
let me
on here?
counter that
Is that
though.
in your tier list?
Let me counter that though with this though, because I hear what you're saying about like, oh well, they can still well, they can give Sean Baker screenplay and an art picture, blah blah blah. Everything everywhere here, people said, well, they can give everything
That's
everywhere
yeah,
screenplay, but they give
different.
Spielberg director, Daniels one director. They also said,
I
well, they can give Daniels director and everything everywhere picture, but like McDonough can win screenplay or Todd Field can win screenplay, but everything everywhere just won both of them. This
but
also
like
happened with Birdman too, because people were like, oh well, Birdman can win screenplay and then picture, but Linklater can win director, or Birdman can win director and picture, but
yeah,
Wes Anderson can win screenplay, and it just won with all of them. I think I just don't think that logic checks out. To be
you're
honest, I think
uh, you're 100% right, but those movies are doing something visually more innovative than what Anora feels like the little indie that could. It feels very small compared to the Brutalist, compared to a lot of the movies, even Everything Everywhere, because that had so much going on visually. Not that Anora is not beautiful to look at, because it is, but it feels very much like an indie. And it's not doing anything crazy from a directing standpoint. Like obviously, I mean, directing is more than the visual presentation of a film, but it's really the screenplay that stands out. It's so strongly written, it's so well acted. Whereas the Brutalist is doing a lot visually. It's doing it's going to get a ton of nominations, and that's the thing with a lot of these movies that we're talking about. Um, you know, Everything Everywhere that got a lot of nominations. Oppenheimer, that was a nomination leader. Like a lot of these movies are getting a lot of below the line support, whereas Anora is not going to get below the line support. It's just going to get editing, and I think that's it.
cinematography, but we'll talk about that over time.
I
Um,
don't think so. I think that's like
I,
it's great, but it's like a call me by your name thing. People are going to try and put it in, and it's not going to happen.
I, we'll see about that. Okay. Let me posit to you this as well. This one, Parasite. Bong Joon Ho
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
even
true.
expected to win director.
You're right.
The only precursor he wanted was when he tied Sam Mendes for Critics' Choice. And like people also said, like, well, we can give Parasite picture through screenplay. Mendes still gets his second Oscar for director, and then that's what happens. But Bong just said, "Yeah, fuck you, I'm taking this." And look, I think that that's another thing as well. I'm not saying that Sean Baker is Bong Joon Ho, or even that Honora is Parasite in terms of directing, but I think another thing too. Honora is a Palme d'Or. I'm not like it seems off to me that if you win the Palme d'Or and you're winning Best Picture, you wouldn't win Director. I know this seems like a unique circumstance with The Brutalist, but like something about that doesn't seem right. I guess it's possible, but I don't know. I don't know, especially to someone who did not win the Golden Lion. He won Director. He lost the Lion to Almodovar. So I don't know what to say about that. Maybe that doesn't matter, but I don't know. I'm a little bit bare. I if Corbet leads critics, I'll concede. I will concede immediately. And you know what? I'll also throw this in there. If that happens, whatever everyone is predicting for best director next year, I'm going to go right along with it. I'm not going to try to deviate. I'm just going to go right along with it because that'd be 2 years in a row of me denying the quote unquote director frontrunner. So
I don't know if Corbet's the director frontrunner, to be honest though. Like I think he is, but I think it is 50-50 at this point. Like we both are making valid arguments here.
well, sure.
Whereas I
I
think Honora is leading in picture over the Brutalist.
I feel very bullish on Sean Baker winning this category. Um, but I have these two movies winning four of each. That may seem like a bit of like, huh, is that? But uh, the way things are like shaping up, like that's kind of how it seems like. It seems
Yeah,
like it could just win. Uh, like these two films both can just win like a lot of stuff. Uh,
I agree. I think they're going to be huge
and
contenders.
to have both of the Best Picture frontrunners be the two lead acting winners. I mean, when's the last time that happened, right?
Yeah. And I think these are going to be clearly far and away the two most acclaimed movies of the year. Like I mean, I guess Dune is gonna get a lot of number one spots on year-end lists, but I think when it comes down to it, you're gonna see The Brutalist and Anora top a lot of these critics' lists, and it's cool to see the two frontrunners be films that are so critically acclaimed. It
I
does
actually just thought the answer
honestly.
to my question. The last time top two pictures were two films in picture were the lead acting winners. It was last year because Kelly Murphy and
Oh,
Emma Stone.
you're right.
Well, now it might be flipped.
I think so. Although, guess what? I don't have Mikey Madison winning actress right now.
Well,
I
let's
want
get
her
into
to.
that because
Oh,
I saw your
I'd love her
awards
to.
expert this morning and I was like, "Who boy, here we go, this fucking category." So
Yeah.
before we get to the category itself, I'm sure, but but by what you're seeing my cursor on,
Uh-huh.
uh, it's pretty obvious which film we're referring to. Uh, Amelia
I think
Perez.
people are just listening to our podcast, though. Can they see it?
I'm screen recording it, so
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
um,
honestly, I agree. I agree. It can win. It can actually win.
I
That would be something.
slow down. I'm skeptical, very
You did
skeptical,
you did put it in can win Best Picture.
because yes, there's a chance. Like
I don't
objectively
want it to
speaking,
happen.
okay. I'm gonna preface this by saying, sight unseen, Amelia Perez looks like it does not look like a George Court film. I do want to put that out there. I have heard people say that it's like Green Book for trans people, and that makes me go, oh no,
It's not that
oh
either.
no, 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 no. I've also heard people compare it to a Baz Luhrmann film, and that makes me go, no, no,
It's
no, no, no,
It's
because I
definitely more that than it's not Green Book. It's definitely more of a Baz Luhrmann film.
well, either way, that spells doom for me because like I hate Baz Luhrmann. I fucking
Do,
hate
do,
his movies.
I
Um,
I hate him too though, and I did like Amelia Perez. I didn't love it, but I liked it. Do you like Jacques Audiard?
I like some of it. Okay, Sisters Brothers, not crazy about. I
Yeah, it's not great.
really like Rust and Bone. I really like Deep End. That's all I've seen.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
okay, Amelia Perez. I'm kind of confounded as to why this is a Best Picture player. To be perfectly honest, uh, look, I see it. I see that there's passionate support for it. It placed at 10. It won two prizes at Cannes, albeit, um, that's not that's an indicator that like certain people have passion for it, but it's also like they kind of it's kind of a cop out in a sense because you like they also gave the best actress prize to like all four of the main women in the film, which is like that's where the real cop out comes in. But furthermore, here's like even despite all the people out there who clearly love it and Oscar pundits for some reason are just glazing this thing so hard. It's like actually like confounding to me. Like what the fuck? The thing is, this movie is not universally loved by no stretch. I was talking a little bit about like, oh, I don't think The Brutalist is going to be as high as Nora on Letterboxd. Let's compare these two movies right here. Ilya Perez. 3.61. That is not great. Now, allow me to provide the caveat. It has already released in France, and that might be part of it. But I've seen a lot of reactions, both on my timeline and on just scrolling through like top reviews and recent reviews and such. There's some people. There's a few people who love it. There's some who like it, some who think it's okay, and some who really don't like it. And when it comes to a preferential ballot, that is a very tough sell. I don't care who's behind it. I don't care what the story is. Even, like, honestly, like, hold on a second. I don't think even Green Book was this divisive on Letterboxd. And to be, like, and this is even after, like, the 6 years or
It
so that's since it won Best Picture. 3.74, like, that's kind of insane.
That's crazy. That's way
Yeah,
too high. Um, it
yeah.
makes sense though because Green Book is like more of an agreeable crowd pleaser. Like I think people are going into Emilia Perez thinking, oh, it's just gonna be like a crowd pleaser mainstream movie, kind of like that the masses go for. And actually, I do think they are going to, but it's not in the way that like a Green Book or Coda is. It's far more in a way that like something like Moulin Rouge is. It's a big swing and it's pretty crazy, but it's got all the beats that you would want for a crowd pleaser. Like it makes you cry and it makes you want to dance and like it's crazy.
I
And I
understand
do
that. I hear you.
so that's the thing. Like I think people need to I think people are gonna be surprised going into this movie thinking it's one thing and then it's gonna be something totally different. It feels like a soap opera in certain ways.
Yeah, and then that's what makes it sound like I'm like, oh god, this is not going to be a good time for me.
You're not gonna
Look,
like it.
but even if I'm setting that aside, I have so many like I put it. Okay, the reason I put it in can win is because like yeah, there's a package there. It can win like you know director or actress or supporting actress or whatever. It can win SAG. It can win Golden Globe musical comedy. It can win so and so thing. Where I see the problem, when you have a preferential ballot, this is not first past the post, as you all know. You got to rank number one. This is my favorite. My second favorite. It's my third favorite. Some people will put Amelia Perez near the top, I'm sure. I think there's going to be a lot of other people who put it towards the bottom because uh, they don't vibe with the style of it. They don't vibe with the energy of it. And you could, and I remember a lot of people were talking about, oh, everything everywhere. That movie has a frantic style. Old people aren't going to like it. Everything that was not the same thing. I think this is like everything everywhere. Like say what you will about that movie. That movie was clearly much more unanimous in its praise than this. This doesn't even have like a 80 on Metacritic. It's like a 71 or something to that effect. Which movies have gotten in with lower, but I mean Green Book, that's not it doesn't have a very high Metascore either. And that's kind of the point about that movie even being less than even like 6 years after it won Best Picture, it still has like a 3.7 on Letterboxd. This is a 3.6. I still like I can't buy into the argument that this can win Best Picture. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't I can't envision ODR winning director,
No.
especially like if like um apparently he's credited on the song for the film, like El Mal, which is like apparently the big song of the movie. Uh, so if that wins original song, he's gonna get an Oscar of his own. That's aside from the
Oh,
international feature one that's technically in the name of the country. Like technically there's a path for it, but like I'm so I can't get past the fact that clearly there's so many people like there's people who love it, but there's a lot of people who fucking hate it. And I think
I
that
agree.
that's going to cause problems. And I think another issue is as well is Netflix, they're beasts at campaigning for nominations, but a lot of the times their movies, when it gets to the win stage, they burn out. Maestro, they got Maestro 7 nominations, did not win a single thing.
That is true.
Uh,
I,
between Killers of the Flower Moon and not Killers of the Flower Moon, The Irishman and Marriage Story, 16 nominations, only one.
I have a
12
question for
nominations for Power
you.
of the Dog, only one win.
I,
So
I,
I think they
what
just burn out,
what do all those films have in common, though? The ones that they've had, even All Quiet on the Western Front.
which is the
None
most
of
they've
those
gotten
are
so far, but still.
none of those are crowd pleasers. They're all like more heady films. This is like this.
I don't think
It
that. I mean, because I another example I could use: Trial and Mank. 16 nominations between the two of them, only 2 wins. And
Yeah,
Trial
that's
was
true.
very much a crowd pleaser, 0 wins.
You're right. You're right about Trial, but this is the kind of movie, and I don't think it's going to win Best Picture. I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here, but I this is the kind of movie that's going to blow up on Netflix. Like this is going to be number one. It is going to have a moment. People are going to eat this up, not critics. And that's the thing. Like when the general public gets their hands on this movie, people in the film community are going to start to hate it even more, and there's going to be this crazy divide, but that might actually help the movie. Oh, you know what, actually, it could be a little bit like a bigger version of Don't Look Up, which I guess was Netflix, so that was a crowd pleaser. That had a moment on Netflix, and I think Amelia Perez is going to even an even larger degree. Like this is the kind of movie people are going to really have fun with. um and not the film community. The film community is not going to have fun with it at all. They're going to hate it.
That's still a divide though, and a big
I
enough to where
agree.
like I just have a hard time envisioning winning Best Picture. And like, look, I don't think it's gonna burn out to the point that it wins 0. It's
Yeah.
gonna win international feature probably no matter what. Let's see the Secret Fig gets a picture, which I'm just realizing I don't have on this list. I skipped over that
Oh,
somehow.
what? Can you add
Uh,
it? I think you can.
I
I
can.
think
I'll
you.
add it in a little bit. Um, I think Song is probably happening. Uh, and I think Saldana is probably happening. Uh,
Yeah.
especially like Dead Bioware is not going to win. I don't get the vibe Felicity Jones would win, and
Um,
Saoirse Ronan for Blitz. We'll talk about that movie in a little bit, but that doesn't seem to be happening.
the Felicity Jones
So
thing is weird to me because, like, I feel like walking out of that movie, it feels like a winner, like a slam dunk. Like that is she has like a million Oscar clips, and it is like incredible performance. And it feels like a slam dunk, but for some reason people aren't talking about it outside of my screening. Like every person who walked out of that movie was like, "Whoa, Felicity Jones deserves to win," and then no one else is talking about it. So I don't know. Maybe she can catch some buzz once it hits. But
I
she's
mean, I
way
guess
better
we'll
than
see. But as I say,
way. She's gonna be the
I'm
critics' sweeper over Saldana. I can already predict it.
I'm a little. I mean, I can buy that. I'm not sure that I can buy her winning the televised awards over Saldana.
Yeah,
Uh,
Saldana is the bigger name.
yeah. Um, so like I think those are fine. I think in other wins, I think that's where it's gonna shit the bed a little bit. I know a lot of people are gonna predict it in score. I understand. I understand it at a face value level. An original musical in Best Picture could win score, but problem number one, The Brutalist. Problem number two, even some people who like the movie don't think the score is all that great. They think the songs are
I,
better.
I didn't even know there was like I can't even remember the score to be honest. I don't know. I
So
think the songs carry it.
again, I understand it at face value level, but like when you consider the context, it's there. And then that will of course bring us to the best actress conversation, which
Yes.
we're on year 3, folks. We're on year 3, like because we had Kate Blanchett, Michelle Yeoh, white woman versus woman of color, Emma Stone versus Lily Gladstone, white woman versus woman of color. This year it's cis woman versus trans woman, and
Yeah.
so what is every year now we're gonna have a privileged lady, white or cis lady, against a trans lady or a woman of color. I don't know why I'm saying the word lady.
I don't know.
Like I'm a fucking 70-year-old man. I
It's
mean,
not quite the same here because Mikey Madison like isn't like an established star in the way that like people are.
okay.
Like
Let
I
me
don't
stop
think
you right
she's like
there.
rich out of her mind or anything.
Okay, Tristan.
Yeah.
I don't think you can use that argument in good faith when because Gascon is also not a big name.
Yeah, no, you're right. No. I'm not saying that. Like, I think Mikey Madison is definitely like privileged, like in like with if we're talking about this argument, but I don't think
White and cis.
true. Yeah, but she's not like the name that like it would be different if we were like Angelina Jolie. You know what I mean?
Sure. But I think
Like
it's
she
not
might
a
have
perfect comparison.
ageist because she might have people like kind of who are ageist not go for her.
Okay, I understand. Like Mikey Madison is 25 years old, and Carla Sofia Gascon is like 50. Like
Yeah.
I understand it. It's whatever. Here's where the problem. I can't in good faith use that argument though. When number one, like I mean, I think it's fair to say there is not a front runner this year that like out of the gates like oh that's winning. There's not an Emma Stone to Poor Things, for example. There's not like a like a Frances McDormand Three Billboards, right? It's not one of those. But number one, I feel like we don't get one of those in most years. Number two, when you like, I think like when that happens as well, that can create for unique circumstances. And here's the thing about Madison. I understand that people are like, oh, she's 25 years old, she's not been in much, blah blah blah. Take a look, like go on Wikipedia, look up uh youngest best actress winners. Every single one of them is below the age of 30. And if Mikey Madison is to win, she would crack that list. And it's not like that she is a no name either. She's not a big name. She's not an A-lister. I'm not arguing that because that's stupid. But she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in a very memorable role in the final act of that film. She was a scream villain. She is a she was a recurring supporting player in Better Things, which is a decently popular FX show. It didn't get like a huge amount of Emmy nominations or like the best ratings of the network, but you know there's a lot of people who know what that is. It's not like she like people don't know her. And I don't think and I'm not going to say that there aren't people in Spain who don't know Gascon like that. Although to be fair, it's not to the same extent that Sandra Hüller was last year, where more people knew her in in Germany, right? So, I think you got the conflicting things there. The thing that and I mentioned this earlier with Adrian Brody, the vibe I get from just reading reviews of Enora, people like again, not official reviews. I'm talking, letterbox reactions, social media reactions. A lot of the vibe I get is Mikey Madison is giving the best performance in the category this year, or best performance of the year. Ferocious. Like, you may cringe when I say this, but I do feel like there are genuinely some people who are treating it like an all time great performance. And I think when that happens, especially in a movie that is front running for Best Picture, I think that means a lot. That carries a lot of weight, especially if like there's a like whether Mikey Madison wins the Oscar or not. I feel confident in saying she's going to be the fan favorite, as it were. Like of the people who watch the Oscars or watch movies in general, if you polled most of them, I think Mikey Madison would be the number one favorite. I think that's what it's going to be. And look, I think that was something that was perhaps a little bit telling about Emma Stone. Is like a lot of people said, well, Lily Gladstone's win would be historic, but even then, like most people are like, but I prefer Emma Stone as a performance. I think that like and I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here because I normally would argue against like like a certain thing doesn't happen one year because the exact same thing happened last year. Like I don't think that's it, but I think there's a bit of a gap there. And the thing with Gascon, I've seen a lot of people who say like, yeah, I think that performance is great. I don't know if it's a winning performance. Or sometimes they'll say, I thought Saldana was better. And
Oh, that is
that's a little
crazy.
uh,
No way
bro,
she's
look,
better.
bro, people have said it. People have said it, bro. All
That
right.
is stupid. Saldana, no way. I don't understand how
I mean,
anyone
you
can
may
say
think
that.
that. You may think that, but I'm not here to tell you what you think. I'm here to tell you what other people think. And like, is it like a unanimous decision? No. I'm sure it's. I'm sure. Like, I don't. Maybe if even if you polled it, more people would prefer Gascon. I don't know. But there are a lot of people who think Saldana is the standout, and I kind of do wonder. Again, not to say like this happened last year, so it's going to happen this year, but I do kind of wonder how many people are going to complain about Gascon being in lead because apparently she's a more borderline performance, and I think that's part of what killed Gladstone in the end is that there were a lot of people who just didn't think she was lead. They didn't think she belonged in the category. This happened to Viola Davis too in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. You know, she was very much. I mean, I don't know that she was quote unquote expected to win, right? Because like no, that race had no fucking front runner. But a lot of people were like Viola can win, but a lot of people said like she's not a lead. She's a supporting performance. She doesn't belong in this category. I wonder how many people are going to say that, and if a lot of people say that, then I think that's a little bit concerning. And I think like you put that up against Mikey Madison in the movie that's like winning Best Picture in a performance that I think more people are just going to prefer. I don't know. Like I don't know if she can overcome that. I don't know if Gascon can overcome that, despite the narrative that like she would be the first trans woman to ever win, right? And I also think like I don't think Academy voters are voting for what's historic. We saw that last year. We saw that when they voted for Anthony Hopkins over Chadwick Boseman. Like I just don't think that's a thing that they think about.
I will say, okay, and this is just me, like having seen both movies and having seen the movies you just mentioned. Um, I think this performance is definitely more agreeable than the movie's not, but I think the performance. Like here's the thing, Lily Gladstone. A lot of people thought she was the supporting actress in that movie. Um, Gascon, I don't see how you can think that. I can see how you could think maybe they're co-leads, but Gascon is like front and center. She is Amelia Perez. Um, and it's a role that requires her to sing. There is a lot that she's doing there's a lot of physicality to this role. It's something that I think the Academy voters are really going to gravitate towards, and especially SAG. I could see her winning SAG because she's doing. Mikey Madison is doing the most, I would say. But, like Gascon is not far behind. Like she is doing a lot in this movie, and it is a very likable performance. I think it's going to be a tight race, personally, but I think Mikey Madison gives the better performance. Like I prefer Mikey for sure. But Gascon is incredible in
You're
that
proving
movie,
my
and
point. You're proving my point.
well, that's me. That's me. I don't. I feel like
Sure,
here's the
sure.
thing.
I get that it's
I
anecdotal.
I guess if both movies end up being big commercial hits, which I think they will be, weirdly enough, I think Mikey probably does have the edge
I,
because she's gonna have
but
critics on her side,
here's
and
another
she'll have
problem too. Though.
audiences.
No, you go
Yeah.
ahead. I'll mention it after.
No, that was pretty much my argument. Like I don't have anything else.
Okay. Well, I'll add this to you, Tristan. You have a Nora winning picture. You have
Uh huh.
Gascon winning Best Actress, which, by the way, pronounce her name correctly. It's Gascon, not
Wait.
Gascon.
Oh, is it not Gascon?
It's Gascon. You said Gascon.
Oh.
But anyway, you have a Nora winning picture, and you have a winning screenplay, but you have Gascon winning actress, and you have Courbet winning director. So basically, what you're telling me is you have Nora taking the spotlight package. I find that hard to believe.
No,
I
I
think if
have
it would,
Honora winning editing.
oh, I stand corrected. Um, Not even I have gone there. I respect it. Um, even
It's
that
weird,
package,
I know.
even that package though, I find it a little bit hard to believe. Like, is it impossible in Nora wins editing? No, but like, especially as it is, where I have it taking director along with screenplay and obviously actress.
Yeah.
Like, if it also took editing, that would make Sean Baker tied for the most Oscar wins in one night. It would tie him with Walt Disney, and if you count the international feature Oscar, Bong Joon-ho. I
Yeah.
don't know if I can see that happening. I
Oh, I can
really
see that
don't.
happen. I think this could have like a Parasite moment. Sure. But then again, like I don't know if I could see that happening because I am so set on Brady winning director. So I don't know.
I mean,
I'm not so
you
set though. I think Mikey could win actress.
here. I mean, okay. So you bring up Seth. Yeah, Gascon can win that. I don't. I think you're undervaluing Mikey's chances there because yes, again, she's young. I understand that, but what if they just get caught up in the Honora fever? Especially if Honora like were to do okay, if Honora gets SAG Ensemble, which I don't think is impossible, I I think the race is done. Not gonna lie. I'm not entirely sold on it getting in SAG Ensemble. Like if it gets SAG Ensemble, that's like a huge sign of strength, obviously for the film, but I think also for her. Because like I mean,
Yeah.
look, Bohemian Rhapsody got ensemble when it had no reason to. Dallas Buyers Club got ensemble when it had no reason to. Theory of Everything got ensemble when it had no reason to. All those movies won for their lead performances. To be fair, in Best Actor, not in Best Actress.
Oda
But I
won when
think
it had no reason
that
to.
would be a huge. That would be like a huge sign of like, oh, Mikey can run away with it. I think
That is true.
one thing that I think is like so because okay, if I break this down, I think as long as Golden Globe comedy is going to Honora, Mikey will win that. I am dead set that she's winning Critics' Choice. Even if Gascon wins the Oscar, Mikey will win Critics' Choice.
I agree.
Um, BAFTA, that one I'm a little weary on. Maybe they go a little bit off the beaten path, but I think they go Mikey before they go Gascon. And then SAG's gonna be closer for me. But look, Michelle Yeoh won SAG. Everything Everywhere was the best picture win. Lily Gladstone won SAG. That movie was not going to win anything else besides that. If it was going to win that, I think, especially if Honora is front running in Best Picture and Amelia Perez is not, like, yeah, Carla can win SAG, but like if Honora wins like PGA, DGA, and is on its way to winning picture, I don't know what to tell you. I'm still gonna predict Mikey Madison because
That's fair.
that would that would just be so strong, right?
Yeah.
And again, I, like obviously you say you prefer Mikey. I think a lot. I think that's the vibe that I'm getting is like most people like, ah, man, I really love Mikey. I really love Mikey Madison. And again, I think
It is it's
I
an
do think a lot
all-timer.
of people are genuinely treating that like it's an all-timer performance.
It is.
In the same way they're doing with Brody, right? Well,
Yeah,
maybe not
Brody's
quite to
also
the
an all.
same extent, but or in a different way. But like, I think that's important. And of course, this is also when outside of Gascon and Madison, you've got like, I mean, the rest of the category is kind of a desert. Between like what you've got, Jolie and Maria, um, uh, Saoirse Ronan in the Outrun, uh, Nicole Kidman and the Baby Girl. Like performances that are just not like Amy Adams, Night Bitch. They're just not going to be in contention to win by nature of what their films are in the context of the race.
Yeah.
But I mean, and again, also look, I've been saying this since May. I've been talking up Mikey winning since May. I'm not gonna stop now. All right. I feel like I have to stick with it. It doesn't matter what else I do. I have to stick with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably the play for right now, but I think it's going to be Gascon versus Mikey at the end of the day, and I can't see anyone else really winning it, but I think it's going to be between those two.
And we'll come back to this when Mikey sweeps.
I don't think it's going to be sweep, but I
I,
think
I
she could definitely win.
honestly, dude, I think you're undervaluing her chances at SAG. I really do.
I think she could win SAG. It's possible, but I right now I have Gascon. 'Cause
But when
I have
Mikey wins, we'll come back to this episode.
I think Amelia Perez is going to be competitive for SAG Ensemble. I really do.
Oh God Almighty!
That
Yeah, if
cast is
Amelia
really
Perez
likable.
wins, if Amelia Perez
It
wins
could.
SAG Ensemble, I'm slamming my nutsack in my car door.
That's disgusting, but absolutely, it could absolutely win. And I know you would not like that. Okay,
Well,
so
let's just move on then, because
yeah, let's move
before
on.
I
We
get a
spent
headache.
we spent an entire hour talking about these three movies, and I feel
Yeah,
like we're
exactly.
going to talk about these three movies for the rest of the season because these are the three to beat.
All right. To make this easier, we'll just go down the line from here. So, a complete unknown,
Yeah.
which is obviously right now a complete unknown, outside of the fact that we know Timothy Chalamet is playing Bob Dylan. We know it's written by James Mangold of Walk the Line, uh, and Ford v Ferrari. It's Searchlight. You've also got Edward Norton. You've got Elle Fanning. You've got Monica Barbaro. You've got there was one actor I recognized in the trailer, but I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Um,
Daniel Day-Lewis. I'm joking. Imagine.
oh Lord. Okay. Um, I think this is more borderline, to be honest. This is like the first one outside of Ant-Man Best Picture. Um,
Yeah.
I, I think the thing about it is like on paper, this makes complete sense for obvious reasons. Biopic, kind of traditional, kind of movie that comes out at the end of the year. You got to show a performance, uh, and all that stuff, and like it makes sense. But I'm something about it doesn't feel totally right. Like we know Searchlight rushed it out. Uh, we speculate because they weren't confident in their other contenders. That obviously was true for Night Bitch. That obviously was true for Kinds of Kindness. A Real Pain, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But this this doesn't really feel like it doesn't like it feels sort of weird in that um like it seems rushed a little bit, and like I think critics will they'll give it like decent reviews. I don't think it's going to be like amazing reviews. It'll probably make decent enough money at the box office. I'm sure Chalamet will get Golden Globe and Critics' Choice and SAG and all these other things. And I'm sure the other actors will get some attention. But I'm not fully sold on it being like a surefire contender.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I think it's a little hard to tell right now because A Real Pain is about a week or two out from hitting theaters and it's starting to build momentum. And we'll talk about that. I mean, that's the next one. So I won't
Yeah,
get too
exactly.
into it, but it kind of feels like they have two films that are just on the cusp, and I wonder if both of them are going to end up falling out at the end of the day. But the thing with this movie that I think it really has going for it is that having like watched the trailer, both trailers quite a few times, I think that Chalamet um is actually and maybe I'm crazy because I think Adrian Brody gives an all-timer performance in The Brutalist, and I think he'll win, and I'm rooting for him. But I think Chalamet may give him a little run for his money, and it's possible. I think people will not like it, but it's possible that he could win
See,
because he
this
he
is like
seems.
I'm skeptical of this because I mean, at least as of right now, the movie's borderline. We don't know if it's going to get it or not. And I think if it
I think
stays that way,
yeah.
even if it does get in, but it's like a 9 or 10, I'm really not sold that he would win.
I,
Like
I don't know.
if it's a top seven, like it's pretty locked in, then I can buy into it. But
Yeah,
in the state that it is right now, especially if it stays that way, I'm not sold.
it would have to be like I don't know. I'm thinking this is maybe way too far back, but I'm thinking it would have to be like coal miner's daughter type package.
Oh my
But I
god.
think
Oh,
it's funny, like so
uh,
many like
a
Oscar
movie that came
pundits
out
will
when
like
freaking Jimmy Carter was president.
yeah, so many Oscar pundits will like say something a couple years ago and I'm like coal miner's daughter. But I think the thing is with A Complete Unknown is that I think it looks really good. And maybe I'm biased because I'm just a big Bob Dylan fan and I'm excited. But I think it looks a step above a lot of these standard biopics. But my worry is that Bob Dylan, for as much of an icon as he is, and he's huge, he's massive. Um, he doesn't have like the hits really, like a Rolling Stone and Blowing in the Wind. Like those are huge songs, but there was like a musical element to Elvis and to Rocket Man and to Bohemian Rhapsody where people were like, just singing the songs, and it was like a dance party kind of, you know what I mean? Whereas
Right, yeah.
this is going to be more somber, and more of like a. I mean, it's just a guy
Yeah.
with his guitar. Like these are. It's more
Yeah.
about the lyrics.
It,
So I don't know if it's going to make the money that those other things did.
it's not the type of performer that Bob Dylan is or ever has been. Like
Yeah,
he's not really much of a dancer. And
no,
also like and I think this also kind of affects Chalamet's win chances as well, where it's like he doesn't have the mannerism like the eccentric mannerisms that or the recognizable mannerisms I should say of someone
yeah,
like Elvis or Freddie Mercury. I mean, Rami Malek, like I mean, a lot of people shit on that win for good reason. That's not a great win, but
no,
um, he was doing the Live Aid moves, and it was it's impressive. You know, even if other aspects of that performance are not great, that the physicality of the performance in that specific scene, like that is impressive, and people saw
yeah, I
that.
agree. Yeah,
Um, with Elvis, it's a little bit of a better performance, but but again, it's like you see the movements that Austin Butler's doing, the dances. You, like again, like you could just compare them, and it's like, oh my god, he looks just like Elvis. Now, I think these performances have the same problem in the end, where they're good impersonations of the real people they're playing, Austin Butler especially, but the emotional core of the performances is hollow. I don't I don't think Chalamet is going to be that. He is impersonating Bob Dylan very well. Um, he sounds a lot like Bob Dylan, especially with that Midwest Minnesota accent. But it's not a physical performance. Like it just isn't. Like you
yeah,
can't go to a Bob Dylan concert and compare it to like oh my god, he's doing the hand movements the same way or whatever like that. Like
yeah.
no, all you really have is the voice, and that's fine. Like I think that's perfectly fine for a nomination. I don't know about a win though.
I agree. That's a good point. Yeah, you know, that's a really good point actually. And Joaquin Phoenix didn't win for it's a similar I actually think it's similar to Johnny Cash, who was another really recognizable artist, but he's also someone who um he has hits, but they're not. They're not like karaoke songs, you know? They're
Yeah,
he it's more about the lyrics, it's more somber. Um and he didn't win.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
I
you're
guess to
right.
be fair, Philip Seymour Hoffman that year was just really strong. But yeah,
But I think even if Philip Seymour Hoffman didn't win, I mean Heath Ledger was there too. Like I don't even know if he was Joaquin was number two.
I mean, I guess that's fair enough.
So thinking that I know I can't really compare movies, but thinking about that, like um yeah, I don't know. It's possible that maybe where like people are overestimating Charlemagne, he'll get nominated but won't be in a win conversation. Um But yeah, I think it's on the cusp right now. I could see it getting a nomination. I could also see it missing. But I think Timothy Chalamet, sight unseen, seems pretty firmly in there right now as a nominee.
Yeah, I think I can give it. And then I guess we'll
Yeah.
move on to the other Searchlight film, A Real Pain, which I would put in the same tier.
Yep.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna make a bit of an apology to like the A Real Pain truthers because look, I've seen the movie. Tristan has also seen the movie. I'm pretty sure.
We saw it together,
And
right?
oh yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Um,
Yeah.
we've seen the movie. My impression coming out of the movie was it's a good movie. It's a very well acted movie. It's a well written movie. I don't know about Best Picture, and some people
I
were talking
agree.
about like, oh, maybe this could be the Best Picture contender of Sundance, and I was like, I don't know, because like my impression of the movie when I first watched it was it's kind of slight. It's a movie that I think is it doesn't have the emotional impact as a lot of other indie films that make Best Picture did. Even Coda, I felt like you come away from that ending feeling a little bit more emotionally impacted, or at least you know normies do. Um, Coda is a
Yeah.
movie, for example, I think my mother would probably really love. I don't know if she would feel the same about A Real Pain, and
A
that's
Real
kind of
Pain,
the
weirdly enough,
barometer I was using.
it yeah, it doesn't feel like a normie Sundance movie at all. It's way
Yeah,
more somber,
exactly.
I think. Yeah. That's why it's hard to gauge.
But
But
I'm
I
I'm
mean,
gonna also point this out though, and I'm curious to rewatch the movie whenever it comes out,
yeah.
because my impression was also I really don't know if enough people are going to put it in their top 10 of the year for this to be a Best Picture play, or like if enough people say it's their number one and 11. I think I was straight up wrong about that because after seeing the Telluride poll results and seeing the reviews coming out of New York, there's a lot of love for this thing. There's a lot of people who find a lot who find a lot in it, and they really love the film. I think that's also true of people, especially true of people with the who are Jewish and
Yeah.
who have a certain generational connection to the film. And I don't know how many Jewish people are in the Academy, or if even that would be enough, or if there are enough Jewish people in the Academy on their own to push it into Best Picture. But I don't think it needs just that demographic of people, right? Like Moonlight isn't getting in because all the black people in the Academy are voting for it. It's getting in because it's connected to people on a broader scale. And I think a real pain um, very much could be that. And I actually do have it in Best Picture right now. Um, am I totally 100% confident that it will be in at the end of the day? No, but it's probably locked for a screenplay nomination at this point. And Kieran Culkin is looking pretty good. And if you're in like an 8, 9, 10 spot, that's enough.
I have a question for you. Okay.
Yeah.
If this does get into Best Picture, if it does end up making the cut, does Kieran Culkin end up entering win conversation? Because there's not like a total front runner right now in
So
supporting actor.
I've thought about I've actually been thinking about this because I've seen a lot of people saying it. When I watch Sing Sing, and I don't love Sing Sing. I like Sing Sing. I don't love it.
Agreed.
I came away from that thinking Clarence Macklin is fucking excellent.
Same.
I think the cast is the best part of that movie in general, but Macklin I think is really fucking good, and I think he would be very worthy of a win. He is currently my predicted winner right now. Um,
Yeah, mine as
Even though
well.
I don't think Sing Sing is going to win anything else. Um, Guy Pearce, I can see it. I don't know if I believe it.
I don't believe
Um,
it.
uh, and with Culkin, I, I didn't see it as a winning performance when I saw it, and I still don't know if I do thinking about it now. With that being said, I've thought about it. I've been thinking about this a little bit. You know, we did see a couple years ago Troy Kotsur winning at Gotham. And that wasn't totally expected. Well, I think most people were predicting Ruth Nega would win. And Kotsur, he won. He won that. And I don't think the Gotham is like is necessarily the reason he started winning places and eventually won the Oscar. But it kind of planted an idea in people's minds where it's like, huh, maybe this performance is really good. Culkin has a bit of an advantage because he's obviously more well known of an actor and people have been talking about this performance longer. But part of me is wonder like I don't know if he's going to be a critics runner. Kotzer wasn't either, to be fair, but part of me does wonder what if Culkin does win at Gotham, and then
Yeah.
from there that starts a bit of a snowball effect where hey, maybe Culkin can win the Golden Globe, maybe he can win Critics' Choice. Because like supporting actor is I think it's the acting category I feel least. I feel good about Mikey and Adrian and Zoe. Supporting actor, I don't fuck me. Like shoot me. I don't know what the fuck's happening. Uh I think Macklin makes the most sense right now, and I think that performance is excellent. Um I think Hulkin is excellent as well. I do think that's a lead performance though, so I mean that's kind of insane to me that he would win supporting, but I mean, the more I think about it, the more it seems plausible to me. It's just like the thing I'm getting past is like I don't know if I see it as a winning performance on face value.
I I think here's an interesting thing. What do you have winning screenplay right now for original?
Honora,
Sorry, wait a minute. A Real Pain, is that original or adapted?
that's original.
Okay, never mind. Never mind. I throw my argument out the
Oh,
window.
whoa! Were you about to say it could be Coda?
No, no, no. I don't think it could win Best Picture. But I was thinking,
I
what
was
if
gonna
it
say
wins screenplay, supporting actor, but it can't win screenplay. Never mind. Um, it could. I don't know though. Like I think watching that performance, um, it's kind of like a firecracker of a performance. Like he is doing something to catch your attention every single scene he's in. But it's also nuanced enough that even though he's doing a lot and it's a loud performance, um, there's a lot underneath, and it's the kind of character that I think people are going to really be drawn to. It's like a fascinating character that he plays, and so different from Jesse Eisenberg's character, and I think people are going to really take to that. And I think he could win. I think he really could. But right now, like I actually see it more than I see Guy Pearce. Because having seen The Brutalist, as great as Guy Pearce is, that is a cold performance. And it feels almost like wrong to award it. And it's also there's something about it that's not, I don't know. I feel like Macklin and uh Kieran Culkin just to me feel just easier to get behind than Guy Pearce. Also, Guy Pearce, like, does he really have that much of a career narrative? I don't know.
I,
to
I
win.
saw people saying like, oh, but he could be Robert Downey Jr. It's like, shut up. He's not
No,
fucking Robert Downey Jr. Sit down.
he's not. Yeah, he's not an A-lister. I don't think, at least.
Also, like
Maybe
Robert
he
Downey Jr.,
was.
he went on this whole ass press tour saying, "I'm done with Marvel, man. I'm not doing the Marvel movies anymore." Now, of course, he went back on that after he won and is
So
playing
did,
Doctor Doom
yeah.
now.
I
But
don't know
at the time,
what that
he
was.
pulled the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah,
So, uh, yeah. The more I think about it, the more I actually am receptive to the idea. I'm just like I'm still just like I'm not sure. I'm not really sure about
that's fair.
it. Um. So I guess we can move on. I get this is the newest one to premiere, Blitz. Um,
Yeah,
this is this is interesting because there were a lot of rumors for a while. It was rejected from Cannes. It was rejected from Venice. Uh, then it was announced it was premiering at London Film Festival, which that was a bit of a red flag to me and to a lot of other people. It was announced as the closing night film in New York, which was also maybe not a red flag, but more of an orange flag, which is like that's not really a great sign. So maybe we're like, is it dead? Some people try to excuse it by saying, well, of course it would premiere in London. It's a London based movie. I don't
me.
think that matters that much, to be honest with you. But the reviews are out now, and it's solid. It's good, not really great,
Yeah,
especially compared to other Steve McQueen films. Uh,
yeah, a little
it's
disappointing.
it's a World War II movie, so there's obvious bait going on there. There's obviously baity text in play. It's Apple, and it has a big budget, but it seems kind of borderline to me, and I had it out for a while. I actually did end up putting it back in because I started to get the vision like, oh god, what if it's Maestro? Like, what if it's Maestro, where it's like it's a movie that's like it has kind of weak buzz going into it, but when it actually premieres, it's too bait and there's too many people who like it to where it can miss. I don't think it's quite that level, to be honest, but it's not bad enough to where it's completely out.
I don't think though that the like Maestro had people really disliking it, and I don't know if that's quite gonna happen with Blitz. Because I think for some reason people like to root against Bradley Cooper. I feel like people it's the opposite with Steve McQueen and Saoirse Ronan. And the thing is, for as schmaltzy as the movie might end up being, like I think the most people are gonna feel about it is that it's just kind of okay. Um, so that might help it that it doesn't have a ton of people hating it. Like I feel like it's a mank. Like I think it's gonna have some people who really like it. Like not in the same way because Mank isn't schmaltzy at all. But I think it's kind of like solid and really well crafted because it has a great filmmaker behind it, but not their best. And then maybe it ends up getting um, 7, 8 nominations or something like that, but doesn't win anything.
I think
I
with
feel
Make
like
though, there were
that's gonna
more
happen.
texts that it was like mandatory to nominate, and like,
Yeah, it's
look,
more of a craft.
I mean, this one, I mean, Blitz, it's gonna get sound, it's gonna get production design, it's gonna get costumes, it could get score, it could get cinematography. Ronan is possible, maybe even likely, but um, I don't think it's locked for much. I don't think it's gonna win anything really. Like the thing is, this could be news of the world still, where it looks
I
like it's
don't know about
close,
that.
but it
Yeah,
just gets text. I mean, the thing is, news of the world probably could have gotten in if there were 10, but that's also not a guarantee, right?
yeah.
So
But
I think that's sort of the position Blitz is in. Uh,
News of the World was directed by Paul Greengrass. and this is Steve McQueen. So there's a bit of a pedigree we're dealing with.
Sure, but like there it is also considered Steve McQueen's like least good, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
for sure. Yeah. But
Like
still,
it's
Steve
not 12 Years
McQueen's
a
least
Slave,
good
it's not
is
Shame, it's not, Hunger. It's like it's good, but it's not great.
yeah.
And maybe that's enough to get it in this year, but I don't know. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it missed PGA. I wouldn't be surprised if it missed Golden Globe for drama. Maybe it gets Critics' Choice. Uh I don't think it's getting BAFTA Best Film. Uh like I don't know. This just doesn't really seem like like an across the board film. Like I don't think it's gonna
Yeah.
get if it gets any above line nomination besides picture, it's probably Saoirse. I don't think it's gonna get director. It's not gonna get any other actors. I don't think it's gonna get screenplay. The writing is kind of the most criticized part of the movie. That being said, my sure did get screenplay, and that was the most criticized aspect of that film as well. So I don't know. Um,
Hard
I
to
don't know
say.
what the deal is there. But yeah, it's not. It's more of a borderline thing. So
Yeah.
it's there, but I'm a little bit. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna happen. All
Yeah,
right,
I
and
think
and
it's
now,
definitely it's on the cusp.
yeah, it's on the cusp. Uh, okay, well now we got to go to you see Clint Eastwood here speaking to a chair at the RNC. Yes, this really happened. This is juror number two. If you couldn't tell by the Clint Eastwood factor of it.
Yep.
Um, I've got to be honest. I feel like I've been living on a different fucking planet ever since that trailer dropped. Because I saw a lot of people saying that this trailer looks amazing. Oh my god, it looks like Eastwood's best in years. And I'm looking at this like this literally looks like mid.
It looks so good.
It like I don't get it. I don't get what people are saying about it. That's like what people are
I,
seeing in
I,
it that makes it look like amazing.
I think it's the
It doesn't
premise.
make any sense to me.
It's the
But
premise,
because a
100%.
lot of people are seeing that, and because like there's a decent like there's maybe chance that like it actually is his most acclaimed movie in years. Like that's the only reason for me to actually consider it. If it just looked like another fucking Richard Jewell, and that's how everyone else's reaction would be, I like it would be in the hell notes here. But I feel like I have to put it in borderline because like apparently people think that this looks like the next coming of Jesus Christ.
It does. So good. I think I understand, like, look, is this necessarily going to be a best director contender? I don't think so. I don't buy that. Some people are saying, oh, yeah, Eastwood could get in as, like, oh, a final farewell. But, like, the thing is, I don't think that's going to happen.
It's not
But,
that type of film.
no, not at all. But I think the reason people are going a little crazy about this is because, first of all, he set the bar pretty low. Like, his last couple movies have been awful. Not Richard Jewell, but some of the other stuff. And then I also think that it just has a great premise, like the idea that um, someone could accidentally kill a person and then end up on as a juror on that trial is crazy. Like that is an insane premise, and
Sure, but like directed by Clint Eastwood, I don't know about that dog.
yeah, but man, Clint Eastwood. I know, like we like to rat on him now. Like I know he's old and like everyone's like, oh, he's Republican and stuff. But wait, is he? Is he Republican?
I don't think he's that far right, but like he clearly aligns himself with conservative politics.
Like he likes guns and stuff. Yeah, but he's not like a Trumper or something.
I don't think so.
The thing though, like with him, is like he's made some pretty like I know he's got that kind of like macho persona, but he's made some pretty emotionally powerful stuff, like the Bridges of Madison County. That's pretty great. It's pretty. I cried a lot watching that movie. So I don't know. I think he could end up like really tapping into his old sensibilities with this. It's not like he needs to do anything crazy with the direction. He just needs to point the camera and direct his actors.
That's
Like
all he does.
I mean, it's fair, but like I feel like the past couple movies, the reason they failed is because he's had to do a little more than that, and like you know, especially with that 310 to not 310 to Yuma, 517 to Paris or whatever. Like
Oh my
that was
god.
way too ambitious for him to actually make that work. Whereas this, like, he's got great actors, he's got a great premise. I don't even know if he wrote the script. He didn't, right?
Has he ever written one of his own scripts? I don't think so.
I don't know. But this one is certainly not written by him, and he's got great actors that really don't need that much direction. But I feel like he's going to be able to direct them well. And I actually crazy like I have Tony Collette in. I have Nicholas Holt in.
Oh
I'm
Lord have
even
mercy.
thinking about putting J.K. Simmons in. Like I think we get the whole party.
Oh
I
Jesus
got it in
tap dancing Christ.
screenplay.
Jesus tap dancing Christ.
Yeah, I have 5 nominations for Juror number two. I will say though, like Sebastian Stan's kind of looking tempting right now for The Apprentice. And if The Apprentice just opened tonight, and I'm already seeing some buzz. So if that ends up like kind of hitting a stride, maybe Juror number two collapses.
Well,
But
we'll
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 have to see.
we'll get to the Apprentice later.
Yeah.
Um, but I think your arguments would be fine if he hadn't lost the Riz, as it were. Like he's just fucking Rizless now. Is the thing.
But
Like say what you will
when
about like
you
Scorsese being like 81 years old, right? And
yeah,
he is the oldest Best Director nominee last year for Killers and Flowerman.
yeah.
Well ever with his nomination for Killers and Flowerman, he's the oldest director nominee ever.
Is he
And
older than
Eastwood would
Spielberg?
be even older than that. He's 94. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, look, not to sound like ageist or anything, but he lost the Riz. He lost the Riz. Did he
Do you
lose the
think
Riz
Ridley
as bad as
Scott
like Joe Biden? I don't think so, but
did
he
Ridley
lost the
Scott
fucking
lose the
Riz,
wrist? I mean,
huh?
we'll talk about Gladiator. I
I mean,
said,
Ridley
did
Scott is
Ridley
also
Scott lose?
Rizless. Ridley Scott is also Rizless, but like Eastwood, Eastwood and Clint Eastwood and Ridley Scott are like in the Rizless category. Um, but um, like that's kind of what I'm saying, right? Like if you don't have the Riz, and like I don't understand like what the whole like point of like and like that's kind of what it feels like too. Is like people they're hyping it up because like well maybe it can get in as Eastwood's song, Swan Song, his last film, that narrative. He said that about the last 5 movies he's made. I swear,
My Macho was supposed to be his last. Yeah.
it doesn't work. And also, like Hayao Miyazaki has said that about his last like 10 movies, and it's never true. And to be fair, he did
Yeah.
win for Boy and the Heron, but I don't think that's why that movie won.
No, it has to be good. That's the thing. Like, people think a movie can win on just a narrative. I think a narrative helps, but the movie has to actually be good. But if Juror number two is good, look out. Not for
I
Clint Eastwood getting a director nomination, but for it
Yeah,
getting a
that's not
picture.
fucking happening.
Yeah,
But like,
not in this
yeah.
field. Unless Villeneuve slips,
Well, I
and then
have
we got
Villeneuve
some real.
out, and I still don't have Eastwood even in the top 10. Speaking of
Wait,
Villeneuve,
dude.
let's talk about Dune.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's do
this is
it.
the first one in the not a win contender, but solidly.
Yeah.
I think that's where everyone is with that film.
Yep.
I mean, there's some people who think it can win Best Picture. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I love the
It
movie,
can't.
but like you know, like it's my second
Not
favorite movie of the
happening.
year. But like I like it's not happening. Um,
Is the Beast on this list?
if I was running
Assuming
the
we'll know.
Academy, then uh, like it would be locked for like 10 nominations. But
Yeah.
uh, that is my number one movie of the year, by the way, The Beast. Um, look, I mean, look, the argument, like, I feel like we don't need to make an argument for Dune. It's been out for months. We already know, like, yeah, it's going to win visual effects. It's going to win sound. Could win some other stuff. It's going to get a handful of nominations. Like, look, it's got the juice. What do you want me to tell you? Like, like it's going to be top five all year, but it's never going to
Yeah.
be like top three.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
think
fine.
it's in the same position as the first movie, I think, which is
Yeah,
I feel like when it came out,
I
people
think it
thought,
will be slightly weaker at the end of the day, but
yeah,
at the same time, Two Towers still managed to get into a lineup of five, even with missing
exactly.
director and certain other categories. And I think that's kind of what this is going to be. That's not to say
But
Messiah will be Return of the King because I don't think so, but
it could be.
um,
I think it's if it's really damn good, it could be Return of the King. But the interesting thing about this movie is the reception's actually, at least from what I've heard, people like this movie more than they do the first. Not
I
that they
think
don't like the
generally
first.
speaking that's true. I do think that there is a camp of people who prefer the first film though.
Do you prefer this or the first?
I prefer this one personally, but I've
Same.
definitely seen a lot of people who say they like the first film better.
Interesting.
And I
I think
can't
this
say
is
I
way
don't
better.
understand that.
I don't, but I mean, the first did a really great job setting up the world, but I think this
I'll tell
really
you
takes everything.
I look. I've read the book. I I
Yeah,
I I I I, I don't have a problem with the changes. I do get that some people have issues though.
true.
Um,
Makes sense.
yeah. Look, I think it's. I don't think it's going to win as much as the first film did. I don't like. I think it could have won cinematography if not for the Brutalist. I'm skeptical it'll even be eligible for score. I don't think it's going to win production design. I'm
Will it only win visual effects? Oh my gosh,
it.
that could
Well,
happen.
I think it's going to win sound, but
True. Yeah, you're right.
um,
Makeup, maybe.
possible. And costumes is possible, but like I might have to concede to something else in that category. Um, I I was more impressed by the costumes in this one. I was more impressed by the cinematography in this one. The first film won, and I think it looks very good, but this movie I think it looks even better. I think uh, it's kind of a common case of sequelitis though, where it's like it's a movie. I think gonna be it's gonna get in pretty easily. It's gonna be in just fine. It's gonna get the tech nominations it needs, but I don't think it's gonna win as much as the first film did, and likely
Yeah,
not get nominated as much. Um, and I mean, a lot of people are very bullish on Villeneuve getting director. I mean, I'm not gonna count. I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but like, I just don't believe that a blockbuster film that is not in contention to win Best Picture is gonna get director. I just don't believe it.
yeah,
But that's all
yeah.
we got to
I'm
say
with
about
you.
that. Um,
Wait, you mean a
so that
nomination? Oh, I think he could get a nomination. I think enough people are dropping out that he could get a nomination for sure.
well, there's another film in here that I think is very likely for a director nomination that we haven't gotten to yet.
I
Um,
agree.
but we'll get into that. So now we'll talk about Conclave. God, I can't believe for those of you who are just listening podcast style, the image I used for Conclave was that one AI generated image of Pope Francis wearing a Gucci coat. Uh, that was floating around a while ago, and like I don't know why I made this the picture, but I did, and I have no regrets. Um, yeah, this is a like I think this is a kind of a classic. Like gets a bunch of nominations, doesn't really win much type thing. Seems like a perfectly solid crowd pleasing film. Um, could win screenplay. I guess Ray Fiennes is a possible win, but I'm not I'm a little skeptical
I'm
about
not
that.
feeling it.
Um, it's got it's got some text you can nominate. It's perfectly middle brow. It's type like it's like the Boomer movie basically for this year. I guess aside from like the Brutalist, it's a movie that like the Boomers will go out for, and they'll vote for it in like a bunch of categories. I think that's where it is. And I think that's, kind of where I think that's a perfectly acceptable position for it to be in. I don't think it really has much of a chance at winning, but I don't see a world where it isn't nominated.
Yeah. Yeah. I would very much agree with you on that. Um, I think thing with Conclave. So I've seen Conclave, and it definitely feels like Oscar bait, but it's like elevated Oscar bait. Like I think it's really smart, really well crafted. I think a lot of people are gonna really like it. It's not gonna have. It's not. Here's the thing about Conclave. A lot of times, Oscar bait is like the villain, right? Conclave's not gonna be like the season's villain. I cannot see someone going into that movie and like
Yeah, I don't
hating
think it's
it.
going to be either.
I think everyone's gonna generally think, "Wow, that was really good." And it when we rank the best picture nominees, it'll be around 7 or 8, maybe 6, probably towards the lower end, but everyone's gonna say like, "Oh, that was really good." Like, I don't know what to compare it to. Because the holdovers, a lot of people thought was going to be the villain, and then people absolutely love that. But I don't think that's going to be the same. I don't think
I
people are going
mean,
to
that's
absolutely
true,
love
but
this
like
movie.
I don't think anyone thinks Conclave is the villain. To be fair,
That's true. But so I saw some people saying that heading in, but
I
um,
I I I don't know where. Are you reading fucking Golden Reforms or something?
yes. I just think I read it, I think. But no, I think it looks like it's a great movie. Like it's really good. And I think the Academy are gonna love it. Older members are gonna love it. It's kind of woke, actually. So
I have
you know,
heard about what the ending is.
yeah.
um,
Um,
yeah, I was wondering if that would be a little bit controversial. It doesn't really seem to be, though. It seems like most people seem like
no,
okay with it.
yeah, because it's handled very subtly.
Yeah. Um, I'm interested to check it out. I actually did like All Quiet more than most people. Um, this one I'm not sure. Like maybe I'll like All Quiet more, but like I do think that this is like a film that like I can definitely see myself really liking, maybe even more
I
than
think
most
you'll like
people.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think you'll really like it.
I could also see myself saying, yes, it was good, but like I'm not sure I'm thinking about it as much as some of these other movies. Uh,
When I walked out of like Amelia Perez, I'm like, you are not gonna like that movie. But when I walked out of Conclave, I thought, you know what? I think George will actually like that.
well, I'll ask you this: am I going to like any of them as much as Honora?
No.
That's what I thought.
Although I think you're underestimating how much you're gonna love The Brutalist.
I mean, we'll see. Vox Lux didn't sell me, so
Totally different movie. Like I
I
can't even believe
understand.
it's the same director. It's crazy. It feels nothing like Box Lux.
I guess we can move on. So now we have September 5th, which th- this movie, this fucking movie, um I really I don't know where this came from, to be perfectly
Me
honest.
neither. Me
Because like
either.
I didn't even know it existed until like Telluride and people started talking it up. Here's the thing. I like because and like I like Scott Feinberg, sexist pig, um, has it at number one for picture. I don't like I don't get that. Uh,
So does Mance, right? Or is that number two?
I think he has that too. I think he has Amelia Perez at one. Uh, the thing about September 5th, on paper, on face value, I get it, right? Like it's like it's about a real event. Which, for those of you who don't know, this was it's the 1972 Berlin Olympics hostage crisis. Um, a group of Palestinian militants kidnapped, held hostage, and murdered members of an Israeli Olympic team, uh,
It's what
while
Munich's based on,
demanding.
right?
Uh, yeah, it's the same event Munich's based on. and in doing so, they were demanding that the state of Israel release certain Palestinian hostages that they had. Now, based on that description, a lot of people are going, "Oh, that's going to be controversial because of Israel Palestine." Some people are going to think this movie is incredibly Zionist. I will say this as a fervent anti-Zionist, and I have made that no secret. I This movie does not seem like a Zionist movie, at least from what I can tell. Um, I know TIFF rejected it because they were afraid it would cause controversy. But to be
But
honest,
they
I
picked
don't.
that Russian movie. I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, that's another point too. But also, to be honest, I don't know that this would have gotten enough buzz at TIFF to cause that controversy, whether it's truly Zionist or not. Um, here's the thing about this film though that is so confounding to me. It premiered at Venice and got literally nobody was talking about it. I did not see a single person talking about it until it premiered at Telluride, and then that's when it premiered. And I feel like if this was going to be this big Oscar contender, it should have gotten some attention at Venice. And I understand that the movie didn't play in competition. It was in like a lesser sidebar at Venice, but I don't know. After Sun, at least like these are two completely different movies to be fair, but like After Sun, at least like got like it wasn't in competition at Cannes. It was in like Directors Fortnight, but that at least got buzz. Like you at least were hearing about that while the festival was happening. I did not hear about September 5th until Telluride, and you'll notice something. Most of the big pundits who are predicting this movie in Best Picture, they saw it at Telluride. They went to Telluride and they saw the film there. So
I think it's only the people who saw it tell you right. I don't see anyone else predicting it.
yeah, so it's like I don't know that they saw something in it that we don't, or at least that I don't. Um, I I, I just don't understand. Like I think it's fake. I think the buzz is fake.
I think the
Now,
one thing that makes me raise an eyebrow, though, George, is it was picked up by Paramount. That's kind of weird.
well, they picked it up from themselves technically because it was Republic Pictures
Fair.
before it was Paramount. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, the thing about Paramount, their only Oscar contender since Arrival was Top Gun Maverick, and that was a very organic thing. I
Yeah.
don't know how if that was really Paramount's doing. Uh, Now maybe they can run a great campaign for this and get it in. I don't know, but I see. I don't know. Something about it, like it just feels fake. Nobody's talking about it. That's like to tell you right, people. I think the actual actually. Hold on a second. Let me actually look up the letterbox rating for this because
Do you
I
even
don't
have one?
know.
I don't think
I
enough
think it
people have
has
seen it.
one, but
When is
three
this even
point
coming out? Like,
yeah 3.54. It's coming out in November apparently. Um, but yeah, I mean, you can see here on the letterbox page. So you got Peter Sarsgaard, people know him. John Majaro, some people know him. Leonie Benesh, who a lot of people don't know, but she was the lead actress in The Teacher's Lounge, which got an international feature nomination. We actually put some on my watch list. Um,
you've never
I,
seen it? It's really good.
I don't know. Like there's some people who like it a decent bit, but like it doesn't seem like the type of movie that I think people would love so much that it has to get a Best Picture nomination. And also, like
Yeah.
if I'm not sure if The Brutalist will be seen by enough people for the fucking like regional critics to give it like picture over Nora. Like I don't know how the hell anyone is gonna like see this. I mean, I guess it's coming out in November, so that's a bit. bit of a different situation, but like I don't know how many people are gonna fucking watch this movie. Like it might just come out in like crickets, right? Like fucking crickets.
Do we think this could be a load screenplay? Is the thing. I mean, you look at the cast, and there's no one really that stands out that like I'm thinking, oh, this person makes sense as like an Oscar nominee. I mean, maybe Peter Sarsgaard. Like, has he ever been nominated?
I don't think so.
He's he's really good. I like him a lot. But what is he in that I really love? Is it Garden State? Oh, I think he's in Garden State.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
should
Cue the
have
Mr. Planky
won for
clip.
Garden.
Cue the Mr. Planky clip.
If cancer were pretentious, it would be Garden State.
Oh man, he should have won for. Yeah, he was in Garden State. Oh, great performance, great movie. Um, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's a really good actor, but do I necessarily think he's like right now in the hunt for an Academy Award nomination? Like, not really. It would make sense if he was getting more hype for this movie, but like, who do you nominate from the cast? It really only seems like I would say really only the screenplay and picture are like what's getting hype, and that's not enough to get this in. So I'd say
Yeah.
screenplay or bust.
Yeah, I'm really I mean, maybe they can do something with it in a kind of miraculously get something like, oh my god. But like I really I'm not I don't know. I don't buy it. Like at least The Apprentice has like a couple of actors that can get in. Like this one I don't know. I'll put it in the borderline category because I guess there's an avenue for it, but like I just don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know. Okay, so we'll move on to Sing Sing. Um, we talked about this a little bit earlier. You know, the A24 strategy. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Um, I'm not worried about this missing a nomination at all. Um,
yeah,
in fact, I think there is like a world where it could still win. I don't think it's very likely, which is why I'm
I
not putting it
agree.
in the can win picture category. But I think there is a chance still. I like.
Yeah,
I think the
it
problem
has like a
is
coda
that
type
like
thing, right?
I mean
Like
with
it could have
Coda,
like a coda moment.
see that's possible. I think the thing about Coda though is that like it only had one movie that it really needed to take down. That was Power to Dog. This has to
Yeah,
go through Honora. This has to go through Brutalist. It has to go through Amelia Perez. I think if Coda was against that, I'm not sure that that it could have pulled it off. Um, I think one thing with Sing Sing is that it's not eligible for WGA, so it can't win that unless they register it late, which is possible. Um, I don't think it's like it can win SAG. I don't I don't see it winning Golden Globe drama. I don't see it winning Critics' Choice. I probably won't even be nominated for BAFTA. And PGA is a bit of a tough sell, not because of the box office necessarily, but because like it's so small, right? Like and I get like oh Nora is a small movie, but it's like it has enough to overcome with that with Sing Sing. I don't know if that's true, and like on
yeah,
paper it makes a lot of sense, and I think there is like if it does win SAG and PGA, there definitely is a path. I'm I don't know, it just doesn't seem likely. So it's like it's in a weird limbo, I guess, where like, yeah, it can, but like I'm not feeling it.
yeah. I'm with you. I think just on paper, this has what it takes, but with the weird campaign that they're doing and the fact that A24 are the brutalist and the fact that this really hasn't caught on. I don't know. I don't see it winning. I see a world, like a small little window where it could end up winning. But for now, I'm saying this is very firmly in for a nomination, and I think it's going to do really well once award season really kicks in and they start doing a lot of the campaigns and they get Coleman Domingo. doing the rounds and Clarence Macklin doing the rounds, then I could see this picking up steam, but I still don't think it's strong enough for a win. I think it's a top five, or I don't know if it's top five right now, but I think it'll end up being top five. Especially because I do feel pretty confident about Clarence Macklin right now. But yeah, it's not a picture winner
It's
in
a
my
pretty
opinion.
solid top six in there in that range, I would say. I think that's
Yeah,
perfectly, I think that's kind of where most people are.
yeah,
I don't think there's any like if past lives could stay around all year and remain at the 10 with 2 nominations, I think this should be fine.
yeah.
Okay. So you see the Trump Joker image. This is Joker floppy a dud. Hell no.
Yeah, it's
Uh
done.
I I always had a feeling this was not going to be as well received as the first film, even by its fans, and that it wasn't going to do as good. But I did keep it in picture because it's like it'll probably make a lot of money. It'll probably have enough fans. It has enough text that it can get nominated for. But the movie came out the gate just not very well liked. It's only gotten worse since it premiered. It freaking bombed at the box office. And also, at least in my opinion, the movie fucking sucks. Like, I saw it the other day. I can't remember the last time I hated a movie this much. In seeing it in a theater, at least. Like, there's like it's not my least favorite movie of the year. But like it's my least favorite movie I've seen in a theater in a very long time. I really hated it. Um, I understand like maybe it's not maybe it's like objectively not the worst movie of the year, but like ah no, just no.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment. I like the first one a lot, but I will say, just based on the general reception of this film, there's absolutely no way people hate it. It's getting trashed by critics, it's getting trashed by audiences, and it generally seems like a movie that's like pretty pissed off with its audience and doesn't want people to root for it or want people to like it. So why would it get a nomination? You know what I mean? I think it might get goose egged. I don't think it's gonna get a
I
nomination.
think it's getting blanked. Like I think this is like
Song
I
maybe?
mean like even like Bardo, which like I guess had like a similar trajectory where it just fucking tanked after Venice. That at least had like cinematography that everyone was like, okay, yeah, but the cinematography, right?
Yeah, it was crazy cinematography.
This has nothing. This genuinely has nothing.
I do hear the cinematography is pretty great, but I don't know.
I
Probably
mean,
not
it's
for
one of the
nomination.
only good things about the movie. I'll give you that, but like, it's not. It's not like Bardo, where like it's undeniably like, yeah, this is kind of nomination worthy. And
Yeah.
I don't even hate Bardo. I'm like I don't mean to like I don't love the movie, but I'm not trying to insult Bardo if I compare it to Joker. Um, it's just like, yeah, it's just not that. Uh, but yeah, uh, we can move on from that. That's not happening. Here by Robert Zemeckis. Um, hell no. I don't think this is happening. I uh this is I don't think this is another juror number two situation where like I'm different on this from everyone else, but like oh my god, that true just that looks like my fucking kryptonite.
Yeah.
Uh it is hallmarky, it is hokey. That shit is poison for me. And I mean maybe not an unpopular opinion. I don't like Forrest Gump. So uh I don't see a reason to like this personally. But like again, I'm not like if even if I'm saying that aside, like I mean, like I don't think I'm gonna like Amelia Perez at all, but like I'm putting in the top tier here. I
Yeah.
don't really see the angle here because like the VFX look creepy and like a lot of people seem to agree, but like it just like I don't really see the incentive to nominate it other than like oh it's the Forrest Gump reunion. It's like okay, is that really an enticing narrative to nominate this movie for Best Picture? I don't think so.
I think it's an interesting plot. Yeah, that's not enough.
I will put it this way: I think if it was anybody who was not named Robert Zemeckis, I would be considering it more. But this man has not made a good movie in a very long time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Uh, all right. So then here's Gladiator 2, the Jay-Z image. Um, uh, I I've come around a little bit more on this, and it's not even because like I think it looks good or that like the first movie got in, so this has to get in. I don't think that's true. The reason like I've become a bit more receptive to this is like certain contenders at the bottom are kind of teetering off, and it's like, okay, what the hell is this going to be? Um, and uh, yeah, I mean, uh, it just has enough text that it will probably get into, and then it has what else does it have? I'm trying to think. It has a possible box office, and it has Denzel. It has Denzel Washington, who might very well get nominated, and that is enough. But I have my reservations simply because like why would like as I said before with Clint Eastwood, really Scott just doesn't have the Riz anymore. So like I don't really like I don't really think it's a big thing there. So it's borderline, but like I don't have it in, and I'm not gonna have it in unless something just falls off entirely, or it's miraculously like really really good.
I hear the buzz right now is actually really solid. Um, but like, how much do we really need a Gladiator sequel? I don't know. I
I
I
mean, I guess to
find
be
it kind
fair,
of
you could say
strange.
that about Avatar, but Avatar was also like groundbreaking.
Avatar was groundbreaking, and also with Avatar, like that is a world that I think you could like. There are endless possibilities to explore. Whereas this is based on like true events, and like I feel like the story was told. Like I don't understand why we're doing a sequel, but I don't know. Apparently they greenlit a third one already, thinking this will be a big hit.
Oh my god, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah, I don't. It's kind of insane to me because apparently the budget like inflated to like $350 million, which is like, how the fuck do you do that, right?
that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
But this
know if it's a
bomb,
box office success. I'll consider it, but like otherwise, no. I'm really not. Um.
yeah.
All right, Madame Web can win Best Picture, obviously.
Wait, did you actually put that in here?
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh my god, that's crazy. That's insane.
Um. Okay, Saturday night. Uh, we talked about this a little bit earlier, I guess. It got announced that was going to come out, and people kind of freaked out, like, oh my god, like a lot of the buzz was like, oh my god, this might win TIFF, this might win TIFF, this might win TIFF, and it seemed like it could do that for a little bit, but right before the TIFF awards were announced, which by the way, fucking rip Life of Chuck, um, the like something was starting to feel a little bit off about it because Telluride had apparently went crazy. Um, the first screening at TIFF apparently went crazy, but after that, the buzz kind of died. It felt like there were people who were like there were like empty seats in like the TIFF theaters it was playing at or something to that effect. And also, the Metacritic score wasn't very high. The Letterboxd score isn't all that great, and it just felt like, is this really like a People's Choice contender? Like, obviously, if it had still won, then we'd have a different conversation, but it didn't. And now now the conversation is like, can this even be nominated for anything? And I mean, screenplay I think is possible. Still, score is probably possible, but it's not going to get anything beyond those two in picture, if it even gets picture. And I guess SAG Ensemble is still possible. Golden Globe comedy is probably still possible, but I don't know. Like, is it going to get PGA? I don't think it's getting PGA. I don't think it's going to get Critics' Choice. So, like, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah. Yeah, having seen it, it's just it's not strong enough. And it doesn't really it feels like a piece of entertainment. It's kind of fluff. And I think I mean Brett will disagree with me on that. He loves the movie. We're just to make sure, we're still on Saturday night, right?
That's correct.
Okay, yeah. So sorry, I got confused because of the your listing. Um, yeah, no, I just there wasn't a ton of passion when I saw it. A lot of people came out mixed. I didn't think it was that great. I thought it was just okay. Um, it reminds me a lot of Glass Onion. I think it's real like a fun movie that people are going to
I was
enjoy
going to
when it
bring that
comes
up.
out.
Yeah.
It'll get a screenplay nomination, maybe, probably. And that's about it. I don't think it's going any further.
Yep. That's that. I was going to bring up Glass Onion. That's kind of what it feels like to me. I just am
Yeah,
not really. I'm not really seeing it.
me
Um.
neither.
Yeah. Um. I don't know. Maybe it'll be okay. Maybe I'll like it more than I expect to. But regardless of that, it just feels very minor. And also, Jason Reitman is not an Oscar star. Which, to be fair, I don't think most of the filmmakers on this list are. But like, also, come on, like,
Hasn't been in a while. I mean, he was. He used to be. Got two films into Best Picture.
yeah. But that is also kind of it.
Yeah, no, he isn't anymore. He's past his prime. I
Yeah.
agree. Some people are saying this is his best movie. I very much disagree.
I think. I mean, Matt Neglia said it. I don't know if I saw anyone else say it.
Brett, but no, it's
Well, I mean Brett, but like I'm talking about like pundits.
nowhere near um up in the air or in my opinion. I think those are in a totally different league.
Yeah. All right. Well, now we have a Nickel Boys, which this is a movie. I mean, this has been labeled kind of the zone of interest of the year in the sense that like it's experimental. But it's about an important topic, an Oscar bait topic, like actual elevated Oscar bait in the sense that it's like it has a very baity subject matter that could be made into a very standard run of the mill Oscar bait drama, but it's not. It's done with a very unique lens to it, kind of like the Zone of Interest was last year. The Holocaust is a very baity drama, but it's not. It's not Schindler's List. It's not The Reader. It's doing some. It's taking a risk, and people are talking about it now. The thing about Nickel Boys, Telluride was not kind to it. It got like a 3.6 or something. The lowest to ever, the lowest scoring film in the Telluride poll to get a Best Picture nomination ever is The Favorite at like a 3.75 or something to that effect. It's even lower than that. That doesn't sound great. But number one, it has like a 90 on Metacritic. It's like tied with Anora for like the Best Picture contender that has the highest Metacritic score. But also, the ratings have gotten better since it went to New York. So actually, if I just put this down here for a second, I'm gonna go to Nickel Boys 3.97. It's a 4.0 now on Letterboxd, and a lot of people. The ratings have gotten better. They've gotten significantly better since playing at New York. that may be because New York is an audience that is more receptive to that kind of film. But here's the thing about it: you have an Oscar bait subject like this, and it's doing something very interesting with the first person perspective. Will everybody be on board with it? No. But what I think is more important than that in a case like this, you know, with Conclave, like a movie like Conclave just needs everyone to like it enough. A movie like Sing Sing just needs everyone to like it enough, right? With Nickel Boys, you got to have people talking about it. You got to have people who say, "Yeah, I think this is a fucking great movie, and I love it." And that's what people are doing. And I think, I understand some people's concerns with it, some people's fears about it, but at the end of the day, it has such a unique, like it is kind of like Zone to me in the sense that like that movie had such a unique vision and that people kept talking about, kept talking about. You have to see the Zone of Interest, you have to see Zone of Interest. It's doing this very interesting thing. Nickel Boys is kind of getting that talk, and I think if that keeps up, especially if it keeps getting nominated these indie awards, these critics awards. I mean, I'm worried about the precursor hall, but if it keeps going, I can definitely see a Best Picture nomination for it. I even have it honestly above at 7 above some of the other movies I have in. I'm gonna put it in borderline because like there is a chance that it just is not. It doesn't catch on the same way, but I don't know. I'm a big believer in this, even even since the some of the more divisive reactions to it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think even if it's got some people that are detractors that aren't really vibing with its stylistic choices, I think it's gonna have enough people who think this is the best movie of the entire year. It's gonna end up getting in, just like Zone of Interest. But I think this seems a lot less cold, to me at least. Like I wasn't a
Yeah,
fan of Zone of Interest, but like this seems right up my alley. So I yeah, I think it's once it hits theaters or once more people see it, I feel like that reception's gonna go up, and I don't think it's gonna be as mixed as we think it is, like right now.
yeah, and
Plus, it has
also I think
Amazon behind it.
yeah, Amazon also Ramel Ross. I really think like especially if this movie's in picture, I think he could definitely have it a director
Agreed.
just
Yeah.
based on the vision of it, the scale of it. Um, yeah, I think this is definitely this is definitely a big boy right here.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, Room Next Door. This one is interesting. So this is the film that beat The Brutalist for the Golden Lion. It's a Pedro Almodovar film. It's Sony Pictures Classics. I mean, there's no problem about it. It's definitely their biggest Best Picture push this year. Um, I can buy a Tilda Swinton nomination. I can buy a score nomination. Best Picture's a hard sell to me because it's just it's not considered one of his best movies. If anything, people it's like in like the back half of his filmography. From what I could see, it's only a 70 on Metacritic. And what's weird to me, it does sort of feel like they gave him the palm because oh he's never won one and it's his time. And I mean, like it's like from what I understand about the movie, people just don't real like. There's some people who like it, but like, there's not a lot of people who really love it. And it's very like some people think the dialogue is very stilted. They'll say the performances are great, but uh, not. But like, it's just not a very it's not a parallel. It's not even a parallel mothers, which is concerning to me because vis-a-vis Swinton. That being said, like I think you know it's probably enough to where she could still get nominated, especially like in the field that we're in, where we're dealing with a lot of like potential low nominees. But at the same time, it's like I don't see the best picture vision that people are predicting for. Like you know, like yeah, with the Palme d'Or, like Anora is considered Sean Baker's best film. Parasite was considered Bong Joon-ho's best film. Poor Things was largely considered Lanthimos' best film, or at least one of them. And yet, it just like it's not a perfect sell to me. So I don't know. I think it's borderline at best. Maybe I can put it in like no, hell no, like it's not getting picture, but like I do think it's in contention for some nominations. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Having seen The Room Next Door, I do not think this is anywhere near Almodovar's best. And although I think it definitely will bring up some interesting conversations about euthanasia, because it does deal with the morality of that, and I think there is some interesting things it has to say, and it'll start conversations. I just don't really see people talking about this at the end of the year, and I think if anything, I mean, look at a movie like May December, like that kind of felt like it was in a similar position. Yet that had much better reviews and much more passion, and that still didn't get in. So I don't see this movie really breaking through, to be honest.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
Okay, we can blast through some of these kind of quickly. All We Imagine Is Light, unfortunately, is hell no. Wasn't even fucking
Yeah.
submitted by India or Luxembourg or France. Um,
Yeah.
it is the highest Metacritic score of all these films. Maybe it wins a trifecta. I'm kind of doubting that though. Challengers also hell no. Like especially with Nickel Boys being as big as it is. Like I never saw this movie as an Oscar contender. I don't see a reason to start seeing it as one now. Hard Truths, I think it's really only in for actress, maybe screenplay, and also Bleecker Street, really not a good situation for that film.
Yeah.
Uh, Queer, those of you who are listening podcast style, this is a homophobic dog image. Um, that I again another movie I never really believed, but some people did. That's not happening.
Definitely not
Uh,
happening.
Piano Lesson, again, this is the scene in Tenet where John David Washington says, actually, hold on. It's the scene where John David Washington says, I don't know how many of you heard that.
I heard that.
I'll put it in if it doesn't come in the recording. Um, yeah, that's also like it's acting only, basically. I have it for actor and supporting actress at the moment. That's all I'm willing to put it into. Maria, again, I mean, actress, cinematography, costumes. I think that's a reasonable package. Jolie's, I mean, with Netflix, it's like I don't think there's any way Jolie misses. Cinematography, Ed Lockman's apparently going crazy again. Um, he could, and based on that trailer, I'm like, oh my god, yeah, he could get in. In costumes, I think it's possible, though maybe not a lock. Who knows? Night Bitch. I mean, I again, this seemed a little bit weird as best picture player. It's really Amy Adams or bust from what I can gather, and yeah, I don't think there's any point in discussing that further.
Crazy though,
Um,
after that trailer, it's still in for Amy Adams, like she's still in the race. I thought that trailer would have totally killed it, but it ended up like she
well,
seems
the
to still
trailer was
be
clearly
kind of in the
just
race.
poorly cut, so like I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I, whoever edited that trailer needs to be blacklisted. Um,
Yeah.
All right, final two here. The Apprentice. Yes, I for The Apprentice I use a picture of JD Vance, because that is the position he is now in, the little bitch boy. Uh, it's coming out this week. Like, this is the movie. Like, before I became an Anora truther, I was an Apprentice truther. I was like, oh, this could win Best Picture. Then the movie premiered, didn't get that great reviews. Um, some notices for Stan and Strong, enough to where maybe they could get nominated, but I think the bigger problem with this, and also a bigger problem than Donald Trump literally suing the movie and trying to get it canceled, the distributor for it doesn't exist, basically. Like who the fuck is Briarcliff Entertainment? And
I
why,
think that
like,
they were created like literally just to distribute movies that no one else wants to pick up. It's kind of impressive. They're also doing Magazine Dreams.
yeah, oh my god.
Yeah.
Bro, if Sebastian Stan gets in this year, people are not gonna shut up about that. Um
But if this movie gets in, oh my gosh, Briarcliff is gonna be the new thing. Like people are gonna go crazy for this
I
this
don't
new
know. I
movie.
don't know. I mean, I don't know. With the I'm kind of tempted to put in Hell No, to be honest. I mean, the thing about it is that, like, okay, Sebastian Stan, sure, Jeremy Strong, sure, but like the movie only has like a 60 something on Metacritic. It's not that well liked, and like, yeah, there's people who are interested in it, but I don't know. This doesn't seem like a Vice to me. It's not. It doesn't seem like an Adam McKay type thing to me. Where, like,
Our boy Jeff has said it's the best movie of the year. Jeff Snyder.
oh well, I don't care what Snyder thinks. Snyder, you know, uh, can go, keep, trying to bait women into dating him with shirtless photos on Twitter for all, for all I care. I don't really give a shit what he has to say. Um, I just like, Seb- Sebastian Stan. I could buy if the distributor were like, what, A24, maybe Neon, maybe something like, I don't know, fucking, even like a more mainstream studio. But like, how am I supposed to believe that Briarcliff Entertainment is going to campaign this enough to get, you know an actor nominated for playing Donald Trump, like, election year or not, and like, even so, like, will people not be tired of Trump by that time, especially if he loses, right? Which, like, like, I don't necessarily think this movie, like, I is benefited if Kamala wins the White House, but I guess we'll see. I'm really skeptical that that would happen.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting sleepy.
Well,
Yeah,
we have one
I
left
think
after this.
there's a tiny little window of opportunity for this movie. But you're right. If Trump loses, we are done with that guy. No one's gonna want to think about him again. Lock him up, you know. Uh if he wins though, like I think people are going to want to talk about him and they're gonna want every piece of evidence that like he should not be in office possible, and I think this is gonna be a big draw. Um but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely an interesting thing right now. Like, I'm curious to see how it plays out these next couple weeks.
I guess. I guess. I don't know. I mean, Cannes was probably the main place it should have been more receptive to, just wasn't. So I can't really, like,
That's an
I'm not
artsier
foreseeing that.
festival, though. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, then we have the substance. I kind of put this on here just for fun. I don't really think it's happening. I mean, some people seem to think that this is possible. I mean, part of me did think for some of the movie, like maybe it could be a Get Out, because like I had heard a lot of body horror. I was like, it was during the parts where there wasn't as much body horror though, where it's like it's a pretty original movie, and like maybe critics could push it enough to where it could happen. But
Yeah.
then the final act of the movie happens, and I'm like, yeah, no, no fucking way. Um, I have come around on makeup, uh, because it's such a big achievement that like if it doesn't get nominated, like why, like literally, what the hell are we doing? And I'm coming around a little bit on Demi Moore because I do think like a Golden Globe nomination is possible. Maybe a Critics' Choice nomination or a SAG nomination, like maybe. But other than that, I don't think Margaret Qualley is going to get in. I don't think Dennis Quaid is going to get in. Nor do I even think he should. As much as I love the movie, I don't like. I don't think he's like awards worthy in it. Um, I guess Coralie Farjah is like the best chance we have at a female director nominee this year, which is kind of sad. But even then, like you look at horror films in Best Picture, they're not body horror. Like The Exorcist, sure, maybe, but like you know, Get Out and Silence of the Lambs are very tame compared to The Substance. Uh, and those movies were also the peak of the cultural zeitgeist, which, for what it's worth, I mean, Substance is getting word of mouth, but it's not at the tip of everyone's tongue, right? It's not a movie that like I'm hearing much about from normie friends. I'm certain that my mother probably hasn't heard about this movie, nor would do I think she would like it. Um, but you know, I mean, it does have some word of mouth. It's doing decently at the box office. I don't think it's doing good enough to where I would think, oh, okay, that's interesting. And something that's also concerning me a little bit. It has a B cinema score. That's not terrible. Like it's better than like Hereditary getting a fucking D. It's not great, but also I look at Letterbox. It's kind of dropping. The score has been dropping for a few weeks, and I kind of do think part of that might be because they think the commentary is a little bit bad, but also uh, maybe they don't like the horror elements of it. So it's kind of giving me the vibe that it's not as rated as people would like it to be. So that's kind of where a lot of my skepticism comes in. And yeah, I would love it for this to get a Best Picture nomination. I think Demi Moore deserves a nomination. I think Coralie Farjah deserves a nomination. I think the makeup deserves to win. But yeah, I can't imagine it gets I can't imagine it gets anything other than makeup. Maybe Demi Moore. I don't see anything else.
Yeah. I'm very tired. I'm sorry.
It's all
Are
good.
we on our we're on our last one?
That was the last one.
Okay. Yeah. Mm. Right. Are we okay to wrap it up? I feel like I'm about to crash.
Yeah. I was about to say, Tristan is getting a little EP. I'm getting a little bit EP as well. But I'm glad we got this done, at least because I had a lot I wanted to say, and I think I'm satisfied. So
Same.
yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully next time we'll be back with more content. And yeah, hope everyone has a splendid day.